Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Roundtable podcast. I am your host, Taran Armstrong, and we are joining you today to tell you all about everything that's happening on the feeds for Big Brother 19. Today, I'm joined by the lovely Melissa Deni. How you doing, Melissa?
I'm good. I was just telling you guys that I'm pulling a Taran today, and I'm sitting on like the edge of a couch, a sideways couch. I just figured I wanted to fit in a little more. So this is the new setup for today, and I'm excited about it.
Yes, I am a trendsetter. Sitting on your couch's arm is the new thing. So everybody get prepared. Prepare your butts because it's not very comfortable.
No, it is not comfortable at all. So if I like pass out like halfway through the podcast, it's just because I'm sitting Taran style today.
Well, you have a very nice background. So yeah.
I've got some nice shelving, the underside of the shelf, and it's the door to my apartment. So
is that your guitar in the back?
It is a guitar that my old roommate gave to me, and I do not play it, but it hangs lovingly in the stairwell.
It makes you look cooler at the very least, which is 90% of a guitar's function anyway.
I probably should have just said, yes, it's mine, I play it, but whatever, full honesty here.
Yes, also with me today is Brent Wolgamott. How you doing, Brent?
Yo, what's going on? Hey.
Brent informed me that he has some food on the way, so be prepared, everyone.
Yes, I will step out at a moment's notice. I may be in the middle of a thought, and I'm sure the doorbell is going to ring, and I'm going to have some lovely Olive Garden tonight. Yay me.
Yeah, all right. And we are, in fact, missing Alex Kidwell. Nobody knows where he is. Probably on some sort of love tour.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm like, I thought we excised that excuse once Jordan left, but it's apparently living on. Yes.
You would have thought so. Maybe a lot of people are saying give Alex the temptation. I agree. I think that Alex Kidwell needs the temptation, and the temptation is to make it to the roundtable on time.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Hey.
Hopefully he'll show up at some point because again we don't know where he is. So
we hope he's okay.
Yes. Hopefully, Anyway, we are live here on a Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, or at least we tried to be live at 8 p.m. Eastern, and we are here to argue about everything that's happening on the feeds. It's the LFC Roundtable podcast. We have the chat room open on robhasawebsite.com. You can send questions in to me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. And let's get straight into this very eventful week, right? Lots of stuff happening, super exciting, not a boring plan that's just gone smoothly and everything's not happening, right?
Yeah, I really hate sarcastic Taran. I wanted to tell you that, actually. I tweeted that, actually, and I also said it in the chat room when you were with Matt Hoffman last night with Rob, because you just don't do it well, so...
Oh, I don't do it well. You realize that like 95% of my personality is sarcasm. Right?
Yeah, I know, right? So it really, you need help. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Oh,
I'm just kidding. Yes, obviously, Taran is being sarcastic. We have a plan in place that has gone flawlessly, and it has been a boring week. And we were so spoiled by the first week. Well, basically 2 weeks. I know we didn't have feeds completely that first week, but the first 2 weeks of feeds was just absolutely phenomenal, and probably one of my favorite opening weeks ever. And then to come down from that into this, like I said on Twitter, I already find myself rooting for Jessica and Ramsey's, who I really can't stand, but I need some drama.
Yes. So Paul won this HOH, and he has this plan to backdoor Cody. And it's especially once this temptation comes into play, which allows Christmas, who won the temptation, to remove anyone who's playing in the veto if she so pleases. It made it even less likely that Cody was going to have a chance at this. And also, Ramsey's puts himself up on the block, meaning there's only 2 people to be drawn into the power veto competition. So the cards were really stacked against Cody here, and he's not afraid to say so. But they were. So it's not looking great for Cody here.
Yeah, if only he knew how really stacked it was. Like, I was praying that his chip did not come out of the bag, because then it would have looked more rigged than it already looks. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think he might have walked out at that point.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, players have gone through the bag and looked at all the chips before. This is not rigged. The veto draw is not rigged. Don't worry about it. We even saw it on the BBOTT feeds. Jason immediately ran through and got all that stuff. So don't be spouting those conspiracy theories. I know that's not going to stop anyone, but still.
Again, I'm not talking about the veto draw being rigged. I'm talking about the fact that, that he tried to nominate Paul, that he had the magic pendant, he had to nominate Christmas, his whole alliance left him, and then this week he's obviously on the other end of things, and there's a backdoor plan in place, and he knew his only chance of avoiding that was seeing his chip drawn out of the bag. And if another temptation had prevented him from playing in the veto competition, I'm telling you, he would have walked out the door.
Yeah. Possible. For sure. Melissa, how have you been feeling about this whole Cody situation?
I've been feeling so terrible about it. It's just been such a bummer because I really was super excited going into last week. Like this was set up to be the greatest season ever. Even though Paul was brought back in the house, I just felt like he actually had a good adversary in Cody. And oh, wait, nope, that's over. We're done. Second week. Okay, cool. He's gone. Goodbye. It just sucks because everything that I didn't want to happen this week has happened. I literally wanted anyone but Paul to win HOH. And then I wanted anyone but Paul to win the veto because then at least there's a chance, like very, very slim, but there's a chance that somebody could convince them to use it on Alex or to use it on Ramsey's or whoever, like whatever. But it's just with Paul winning both, it's just nothing. There's no chance for anything to happen because why would the HOH go against their own plan? So God, this just sucks. Without Cody here, the season is going to I just don't want it to turn into the Paul show where he just is like leading his little minions all the way to the end. And then that's just it. I just don't really see an actual opponent coming up to face him besides Cody. So depressing.
Yeah, Cody has been the only one to say anything against Paul, really. Certainly there's been some talk with Alex and Jason and occasionally Kevin. But even then, it's very, very few and far between. And recently they've trusted him even more because he's immune. He's immune for 3 weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say.
HOH, he holds the veto. Why would anybody talk about targeting Paul? Why would anybody talk about having any bad word against Paul right now? Because nothing can happen with it. Like it's ridiculous. It would be terrible gameplay to be like, oh yeah, we need to get Paul out 2 weeks from now.
Right. Even in their conversations where they're like, okay, we need to get the other side of the house out, they're still saying it'll be, Alex even said earlier, she's like, yeah, Jason, it'll be me, you, and Paul. And Jason was like, and Paul? Why is Paul in this? And she's like, oh, well, we have to use him. And it's like, you're not going to be using him. You're going to be taking him along with you. Like, he's not on your side. You can't use him. Get him out now. Like it's very frustrating to me because I see glimpses in Alex where I'm like, oh my God, she's got this. She can do it. I have faith. She's got it. And then she says something like that where she's like, yeah, it's going to be me, you, and Paul. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, right. I feel like this is a little predictable because last week was so amazing, and yet this week is so rote. And I feel like it's a little bit like the sky is falling. Like, even the house guests are like, well, Paul's going to win, but maybe we'll get second. I mean, Alex said that earlier this week.
Yeah.
But again, he's immune. There's nothing that they can do. Once he is not immune anymore, I really do feel like people will start looking at him going, we really can't let this guy get much further. And then we're going to have a show.
It's just frustrating because in a private conversation with just Jason and Alex, that was being said. And it shouldn't be said like that. It should be like, okay, well, right now we can't do anything about Paul, so let's forget that. But eventually we'll figure it out. Right now they're talking about working with him until the end. He doesn't want to work with you.
Alex is literally saying, Paul, he's going to get the 500K, but that's all right.
But you guys have to consider too, they aren't even being honest with each other. I mean, Alex was in on the plan to get Cody on the block this week. Jason was not told anything about it. He made his frustration with that known earlier. Was it today or yesterday when he was talking to Paul saying, well, was there a plan in place? And because, the whole plan was to get Cody, or he was talking to Josh saying, was there a plan in place? And he's like, yeah, the plan was to get Cody on the block. He's like, well, why didn't no one trust me with that? Why didn't no one tell me about that? So, I mean, Alex is hiding things from Jason. So I hear your frustration, but I feel like everybody has a secret in the Big Brother house, and these two are not immune to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think Alex is being truthful in this moment, and that doesn't mean I think that she's going to continue to have this attitude. I mean, I think anybody wants it. If she's actually with Paul at Final 5, she's not going to be like, okay, well, I'm just going to hand him the win. I think she'll go for the kill. But I think it's telling that they have this attitude right now. It's not very often that we hear anybody saying anything like this in the house.
Let's just call it what it is. It's feeling very BB16 to me, is it not?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, where everybody thinks that they're in on the plan, and the house has one common target every week, and it's literally like a totem pole of people, and you know where you're at on the totem pole, and the only person who doesn't know where they're at is the person who's at the bottom. Even the people who are basically at the bottom are like, no, we need to align ourselves with Paul or in the big group to target the people, basically the only people they could work with. Obviously, my frustration is the fact that people like Jessica and Ramsey and Alex and Jason are all saying that they should target each other because they want to be in good with the team of 7.
They're like, well, I'm not the one on the bottom, so I'm fine this week. And they're just playing week to week. And even Alex said, we're playing week to week now. We're playing week to week now. Like, well, like, I just don't understand it because you're going to be the next person on the bottom. Like, there's always going to be someone on the bottom.
We need a shake up. We need somebody. We need somebody like Jessica or Ramsey to win HOH. We need some catalyst. It's exactly like BB16, where there was a moment in time where Donnie was seconds away from beating Cody in that HOH competition after Battle of the Block ended. If he would have won it, Derek's ass would have been on the block and history would have been different. But right now we're just stuck because everyone is just in line.
They need somebody who feels they're actually on the outs to win HOH. Yes. Because if any of the people who think that they're on the in and they think they're one of the many that Paul's like numbers, they're not going to go against him or anyone else in that group. It needs to be someone who feels like they're next, and it's going to be Ramsey's or Jessica. They're the only ones, maybe Jason.
Yeah, and I think it helps that there is no Battle of the Block, so I think it's going to be more difficult to pull off what Derek did. But I did talk about this in our morning updates that we've been doing every morning at 8 a.m. Eastern, is that it sort of feels like, Derek's influence on last season was very apparent, and I feel like his influence on this season is again apparent because Derek was very influential on Paulie's game, and Paulie attempted to do what Derek did, and I feel like Paul, who played so closely with Paulie, is now playing Paulie's game. And that's why we're seeing so much of Derek in him, because he's playing the Paulie knockoff version of Derek's game. And he's just a little better than Paulie was, I think, at being likable. So he might be a little bit more successful, but I feel like he's closer to Paulie than he is to Derek. And I feel like there is going to be a downfall at some point.
I hope so. I just agree. Increasingly more and more throughout the seasons, I'm seeing people playing for jury. And it is so frustrating to me.
It's the producer's fault because they expanded jury till 9. I mean, even Survivor has juries at 10. So, people, they feel like they're so close yet so far. Like if jury actually was at 7, I feel like people would be playing harder because it's like, it's so far in the distance that
we just need to last 3 rounds and then we're good.
Right. We can't even conceive of it right now. And Evil Dick has tweeted this often. Like he even hates the fact that juries of 7 exist. He thinks it should be like juries of 5 because the only people that really know what happened in the game are the people who are existing at the end. So, I feel like more than anything, it's these big juries that are the problem.
They're just like, all I need to do is make it to jury. I don't care if I win. I want so-and-so to win. I want Raven to win. I want Paul to win, whatever. They're already going to win. So I just want to get to jury. And it eliminates any sort of competition from it. It eliminates any desire for people to do anything in the game. It just it frustrates me so much because
I sense Melissa's frustrated. I don't know about you, Taran.
I'm sorry. I'm so frustrated. I haven't had a podcast to like.
No, go. I'm just laughing because I never hear you mad. So it's just
well, when things are going my way and it's awesome with like Cody causing drama and everything happening and me being really excited about it. That's very different from when I'm just like. And I'm shaking my computer screen. So, Yeah,
it's very much like a poker tournament and they're on the bubble of a huge pay upgrade, right? Like everybody's playing super conservatively because they don't want to be the one that goes out right before jury, right before they get a lot more money. And they do actually get much more money if they make it to jury. And so like when it happens so soon, it really does stunt the gameplay until at least jury starts. But by then this is like ingrained in them, right? Like this idea of playing very conservatively is how they learned to play the game, and it's going to continue for the most part. And maybe a couple of them will be like, okay, now we need to start playing more aggressively. But it's I don't think it's a good way to teach players how to play the game, to be like, just survive a couple of eliminations and you've made it to like the biggest and most important like landmark in the game. It's unfortunate. But to finish off the recap, ultimately Paul does win this veto. He takes Josh off of the block, and Cody is in fact replacing him. So Cody is now on the block with Ramsey's and Alex, and it looks like it will be a landslide Cody elimination here. What are the votes going to look like, Brent?
Looks like it's going to look like 9-2, or is it 8-2? How many people are? I'm sorry. How many people are voting? Is it 10 people voting? Because Ramsey's on the block too. So it was 12 last week, so it's 10 this week. Okay, so it's 10 people voting. So it's going to be 8-2-0, and one of those votes is obviously going to be Jessica. It may also be 8-1, depending on where Kevin decides to put his vote and where Jessica decides to put her vote. Because Paul has had a discussion with Kevin and said, hey, people don't trust Ramsey's. People say that Ramsey's is saying this stuff about you, but people don't believe it. It would really look amazing if you actually voted to evict Ramsey's to cause some dissension in the house. And Kevin has at least told Paul that he's willing to go along with that.
Yes. So yeah, I mean, Kevin again is going to be lying about a vote. He honestly, he barely got away with it this time. Granted, he has people solidly in his corner, not believing that he had that vote against Jillian. I almost forgot her name. And but I feel like I'm not sure about this move for Kevin.
No, it's terrible because the person that he's blaming everything on is on the block and can't vote, so he can't blame it on Ramsey's this time. So what's he going to do? Blame it on somebody else? And there are already 6-7 people in the house who know the truth behind the real vote, and they've even tried to tell people like Jason and Alex what the real truth is, and they still won't even believe them. I love Christmas. Earlier today, was it today? Again, the days all bleed together, people. Christmas said if Jason was given a foolproof plan of how to win Big Brother, he would take a look at it and not believe it. Like literally, they're trying to tell him, no, Kevin was the one who voted with our side, and he's going back to Alex saying, no, I don't believe that for a second. Do you guys believe that? They're just trying to sow dissension between us. Why do they need to sow dissension? You're willing to do exactly what they want anyway. You're going to Paul saying, I want to be part of the group. I want to be part of the group. They don't need to do anything to get your vote at this point. You're willing to kowtow to them now.
Yeah.
This is the same guy who thought that the whole backdooring Paul and Christmas was a ruse to hide the loyalty of that side. He has really bad reads on the house.
Really bad reads.
It reminds me of Meg from season 17, who is constantly like, "What, Vanessa? She's not doing anything. What are you talking about, James?
Yes.
Stop listening to Audrey." It's really bad. But at least he recognizes it. Today he was like, "I'm so bad at this game." So the last person to say that was Kevin Martin. Look where it got him.
Wow.
Sure. Jason and Kevin Martin like that. Give me a break. Yeah. I mean, at least he has recognized that you're right. He is on the outside right now. In fact, I think in a lot of people's eyes, Christmas, Elena, a few other people, he's probably target number one, and he probably feels it right now.
I will say, though, that I love how every person that's playing this season isn't an idiot. Isn't just there to do nothing and hang around. Everybody there, usually there's at least maybe 4 or 5 people that I'm like, okay, they're pointless. They're never going to do anything. I have no faith that they're going to ever do anything in this game. They're just going to be a wasted week to get them out. But I feel like this season, I have faith that everybody in there could make a move, could do something. I don't think that anyone's just sitting around. I think that, even Jillian, I feel like she wasn't a total idiot about the game. She knew what was going on, kind of, or at least was trying to play. And I like that about the people in the house. And I feel that about Jason. I feel Jason actually wants to play and actually wants to make a move and doesn't just want to be picked off one by one. I feel like he really does want to team up with Alex and, get something done once they can. Yeah,
I am seeing some people in the chat say maybe Matt is somebody who's not really doing anything. Alex's best friend is doing exactly what Alex is doing, not showing up. But here's the thing about Matt. I think that I think he's not really doing anything right now, but I think he is the kind of guy who later on in the game, when presented with the opportunity, would make a move.
Yeah.
I completely agree that he's very boring right now, but I think he has that competitive edge to him, sort of like a Clay or a Corey, that kind of guy, where it's like down the line we might be looking at this guy like, oh, he's really good socially, and now he's turning up the competitive gear, and now he's making some moves. I think he has that potential. But who knows?
I also feel like he's not an idiot, though. I feel like he knows he's playing a game. There has been people in the past seasons that you're just like, do you even know what you're doing here? Like, do you even know why you're on the, like, they're just there to be on TV and they don't really care about the game. They don't know anything about the game. They're kind of just there and then they get evicted. And I just think that at least everybody here knows that they're playing a game, wants to play the game, and maybe they haven't done anything yet, but I think that they have the potential to do stuff.
To be fair, I really do think that once we get a new head of household, once Paul's safety ending is in the distance where you can see it, I do feel like that you're going to hear people talking about how big of a threat Paul is to win the game. I do agree with Melissa also that a lot of people are there to play the game and win. Now, I think that a lot of them are going about it in a bad way. But on the other hand, last week was so eventful and there's so many flips. And for the longest time, we didn't even know where the vote was. I feel like a lot of people are just catching their breath. They're thankful to have a very straightforward week with no freaking surprises like Cody gave to them. So I feel like in many ways that it's a reflection of what happened last week more than necessarily a precursor of what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think that's also a reason why I agree with Ramsey's decision here to put himself up on the block. But I know this has been a discussion where some people think maybe maybe he should have waited until the last opportunity. Yes. But I feel like I did defend this move. I think this was the right decision for Ramsey's, and I think it is ultimately playing out in his favor, although this whole thing with the veto certainly hasn't helped, and Paul is trying to put a target on its back, but he has got this curse out of the way, and I think it would have been even worse if he had to do it after this week, because I think he still would have been a target, and he would have had to put himself up regardless. So I'm happy with this. Are you with me, with Melissa?
I'm just like so frustrated with the whole temptation twist in the first place, because it gives no reason to not take a temptation if you're not going to get any repercussions from taking the temptation. The only thing you'll get is a benefit, whereas you'll then put a curse on somebody else in the house. And if, according to what just happened this week, you can pick the people, so you'll put it on people who aren't your allies. So it's not like, oh no, like the potential that maybe one of my allies will have a problem. Like if it was random like last week, I'd be fine with it, because I'd be like, you know what, it's random. You don't know who's going to get it. It could be your ally. It could have been somebody who's on your side, who knows. But now that you get to pick, it's so stupid. Like, why would you ever not take a temptation? I'm so frustrated. The fact that, like, okay, poor Ramsey's, he has to put himself on the block. Whereas these guys, they're wearing frog suits. It's like the dumbest thing. It's like the difference between those two are just massive. He should not, I just don't think it's fair at all. I'm so frustrated with this stupid temptation twist. I like can't even handle it. I just feel so bad for Ramsey. It's like he has drawn the short end of the stick this entire game. And
I feel sad. I feel sad for Ramsey's too, but I don't think that everything that is happening to Ramsey's is not necessarily by his own design. He was the idiot who made up the thing about the banner plane when he knew it wasn't to be true. He was the one who couldn't decide whether or not he was going to throw the veto competition or not, and came dangerously close to winning, so much so that he had to spin it to Paul and say, oh, I know it looks a little sketchy, but I really was trying to throw it even though it was only 7 minutes.
But what else is he going to do? You have to fight for the veto. He should have
agreed. He should have just said, you know what, Paul, I'm sorry. I can't do that. I'm on the block. I'm going to fight for the veto. And if I win it, we'll talk about it. That's what he needed to say to them. I feel like he just handled this so abysmally because he couldn't. Again, it was like Cody from last week with the whole putting up Alex and then trying to take her down and trying to throw the veto. Just make a decision. I feel like the house will respect you if you make a decision. But when you waffle, that's when people get frustrated with you.
I don't think he's good socially by any means, but
true.
I feel like I don't see a situation. I see where he's coming from, where he tells Paul, yeah, I'll throw it, and then doesn't. Because, I mean, the odds that this was going to be like a timed competition where he would find out that he didn't throw it, like, I don't know. I just feel like it could have gone any way, and he could have ended up winning it. Like, I just feel like I see where he's coming from, to not just be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to try for it. But I think he should have just said, look, it's Big Brother. I can't not try for the veto. I'm sorry, I'm on the block, you know, whatever he wants to say. And then actually gone for it. But I don't think that he should have just thrown the veto. I think can you imagine going out after you've thrown the veto and being like, oh yeah, I'm a total idiot because I threw the veto when I had the opportunity to stay in the game. I
can't imagine how that must feel. Certainly nobody we know has ever gone through something like that. Jordan. But,
oh boy.
Yeah, I feel like this is a tough situation. It is kind of hard. You know, we did see Johnny Mac throw some Battle of the Blocks, certainly, which isn't quite equivalent because then he would often go and win the veto to save himself. But yeah, it's a tough situation because I do think he was really safe, and if he read the house correctly, then he could have said, okay, I'm just going to throw this and make myself look trustworthy. But honestly, I think even if he had thrown it, Paul still would have tried to make him a target as much as possible. He would have found some other reason. He would have been like, okay, he threw it, but he's still a weasel. He's still trying to accuse Kevin of that vote, so on and so forth.
He's not a mid-level guy. He's not like mid-level in the alliance. So it's like if you were mid-level in the alliance and you were like kind of on the fence and they were like kind of trusting you, but also not, and you wanted to like prove that you were trustworthy to the alliance, I get that. But he's at the bottom of the totem pole. Like they want him out next week. So I just don't see it making sense to be like, let me try and earn your trust, please. Like when they already don't trust him, they already don't want to keep him around. Maybe they'd keep him for one extra week, but then they'd want to get rid of him. He's not in the core.
Yeah, and I think it's actually underreported just how much damage this whole thing about the vote confusion has done in terms of helping Paul out, because the reason why Alex and Jason and Kevin and Ramsey's and Josh can't get on the same page is because Paul has pulled in Josh and he's secretly got Kevin voting different ways and then lying about it, accusing Ramsey's of doing it. So Alex and Jason can't even get a third loyal person into their group because the only other person that would be loyal to their group they think is a liar, and they're accusing of being a liar. So they feel like we definitely don't have the numbers. Man, if only Ramsey's wasn't such a weasel, we'd have some numbers. And he's not a weasel.
It's so frustrating because like I'm imagining being in his position, being like, I swear I voted with you guys. Like I swear, and then just being like,
but he's never done that. He's never like got Kevin in a room.
I know he needs
the alliance and had it out with him, because I do feel like Kevin would crack. Because Kevin's not great under pressure. You start asking him about the vote, he's like, he quickly changes the subject. If they were smarter, they would realize that something funky is going on with Kevin. That combined with the fact that the other alliance is telling us that Kevin voted with them, and why would they have reason to lie? I mean, I know Jason is a complete and utter idiot, but Alex isn't, or I don't think she is. So she should at least consider the possibility that Kevin is the one who is the traitor here, and Ramsey's, who was best friends with Jillian. This is the thing that's just so frustrating to me. Ramsey's told them last week he never considered voting for Christmas. Ever, ever, ever. Told people, look, I'm sorry, Jillian's my friend. I'm voting to keep her. End of story. More than anything. Kevin really didn't talk with people about it very much. He said, yeah, of course I'm doing that. But it was never anything emphatic. And then, of course, he's telling the other side he's going to vote with them. I feel like more than anything, they should be able to figure out that Ramsey's was telling the truth. Maybe it's just that he looks so much like a gamer and Kevin just looks like I think more than anything, it's about Kevin. Don't you think, Taran? That they just can't conceive that he's actually lying to them.
Well, I think it's a combination of the fact that this is an older cast, right? So they're all automatically sort of skeptical of a younger player who seems like a super fan. I think we saw Cameron leave probably because of that. I think we're seeing Ramsey's being stereotyped as that character as well. And so he's having a hard time breaking out of that mold. Paul is like just throwing everything he has on top of that to try and stack it up as much as he can against Ramsey's. He's laying into every single rumor about Ramsey's. He's been trash talking Ramsey's from week one, saying, we got to watch out for this kid. He's a weasel. Watch out, watch out, watch out. And then obviously this whole, the banner plane thing, he really sold himself short there.
Right. I have to say, Doom Tribe in the chat said that Ramsey's is the bizarro Andy. He goes from room to room and nobody talks game with him at all.
Yeah. Well, that's sort of the thing where like Paul points out, like he goes room to room, like you have to watch out for him. Like people didn't say that about Andy, but Andy Ramsey's just has Paul just on top of him nonstop. He can't do anything without Paul casting suspicion upon him. And then you have somebody like Kevin, who's just a really good liar. liar. Just like completely snowing Alex and Jason. And honestly, like, still, I don't know where Kevin's loyalties lie. I honestly don't know. Watching the feeds, I still don't know, because he's so good at lying. And I do think that Kevin has played a huge part in that. I think there aren't a lot of people who can successfully lie about their vote in that way. We saw Steve do it in Big Brother 17, but we've seen a lot of people fail to do it. Cindy with an S, Spencer Clausen. It's something that's very difficult to pull off, this whole
Hinky look. It's just like the poker table. When you go to a poker table and you see like some old man sitting there, you're like, okay, he's got the goods. Like, he's telling me the truth. When you see some gamer sitting there with headphones on and checking his iPhone, you're like, this guy's trying to run a bluff on me. I know, and I'm gonna snap him off. So that's what's going on right here. It's just his table image is really good right now, but I'm curious to see how long it lasts, because there are people in his main alliance who really know what's going on. You correctly point out that Elena was talking with her friends earlier today and said if the other side knew that Ramsey's was actually the vote that actually did vote to evict Jillian, they would probably be able to get on the same page together. It's actually a good thing that they don't know that. So, hey, they're gaming. That's Big Brother.
Ramsey needs to do a better job of at least trying to convince Alex and Jason that he was not the vote, like that was he voted with Jillian. Like, he needs to do a better job of it, and he needs to explain to them, if I really was the vote, if I really did vote to keep Christmas, why would I still tell Christmas and all those guys that I was the vote to keep Jillian? Because that wouldn't do me any good. The whole point would be to try and get in with that group. So if I've actually voted with them, I should explain to them, yeah, I voted with you, because then now I can be in on your alliance. But instead, he's maintaining the fact that he didn't vote with them. So Alex and Jason should be like, oh, yeah, like, that does make sense. They need to.
He just doesn't have like the Brent gear in him, where he just was like, I'm gonna tell y'all what happened. This is what happened. Like, he just he just shuts down. He's a very introverted. In fact, I know he's very extroverted in the freaking diary room with Julie Chen casting his vote. But when push comes to shove, when he feels the heat underneath him, I just feel like more than anything, he like is like a snail, and he just closes in on himself. Because maybe it feels like high school again. I don't know, but I feel like maturity level is probably an issue here.
And that's a really good point, Melissa, about the fact that, like, if he was the vote to evict Jillian, why is his entire why is everybody else that voted with him trying to get him out next week?
Yeah, that's what doesn't make any sense.
Why wouldn't they be protecting their swing vote? Like, why? Like, if Alex and Jason thought about it for 2 seconds, they'd be able to recognize, like, this doesn't make any sense. Why would they be going after him? Why would he still be trying to maintain this? They're just thinking Ramsey's equals Snake. Therefore, he must be the traitor, and Kevin is a solid guy, so it couldn't be Kevin, and there's no other options.
It just is so crazy to me how nobody's sitting there. Like, Ramsey's especially, like, okay, I could see Alex and Jason, they're not going to bother with it, but, like, Ramsey's needs to, like, go up to them and be like, you guys are my friends, please listen to me, rather than going to Paul for things or going to so-and-so for things. Like, they don't like you. They don't want to have anything to do with you. Like, try with the people who you actually have a chance with.
Yeah. So this whole thing with Kevin, I myself, I think right now my hopes for this season are most resting in Kevin's hands. I want to see Kevin be like the mastermind of this season. I really, really want it to happen. I feel like the fact that he's gotten away with all this lying, so much juggling happening. I really, like, he's so likable. He's so funny. He's a great liar. I feel like he's willing to cut anyone's throat, including Paul's. And I feel like he could be Paul's downfall, and I really want to see it happen. I know it's probably wishful thinking, but are you guys with me on this? Like, is Kevin, should we be resting any hopes in Kevin right now?
I think it's really hard to say, because I think if his diary room sessions were more strategy based, and we're more like, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is the plan, like, I voted for so-and-so because I knew I needed to get in with those people, or whatever he said, I would be like, okay, I see it, I totally see it. But right now I don't know, because some of his diary, I mean, he's like, oh, she makes me breakfast in the morning. Like, if he's telling that to the diary room, I don't know if that's really what he believes, or if that's just him, like, trying to be funny. So I have to wait and see, I think. But I would absolutely love to see him just, like, turn it around and become this, like, mob boss kind of guy, and just, like, slitting everyone's throats in the game. It'd be so great.
It's why he's such a good liar. Like, you can't tell. Like, he's even in the diary room. You're like, what are you talking about? What are you actually thinking? I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the thing. I would love to see that. That would be honestly such an amazing season. It's like the whole time he's very under the radar. No one thinks that he's doing anything secretive. No one thinks that he's doing anything, he just turns it around in the end. I would love to see it.
I hope so. It's him and Dominique right now, and I'm losing hope in Dominique.
Yeah,
but I'm hoping Dominique is still. I do still like what Dominique is doing, but right now Kevin is a little more active, so I'm paying more attention to him at the moment. But man, somebody has to be this the leader of the uprising at some point and dismantle the power structure. And honestly, it could be Paul. Paul could be the one that dismantles the power structure and then continue on and do really well. So,
or it could be Cody in a buyback.
Could be. What do we think Cody's chances are here? Certainly, we've all been assuming it's a buyback, but is it going to be a battle back? It's going to be a battle back. At this point, I think we have to be pretty certain that there's some sort of buyback. But is it going to be a battle back? And if so, is Cody a given for coming back, or will Cameron give him for his money?
I don't know. I mean, it could be anything. We saw in Big Brother Canada, it could be an endurance competition. He'd be terrible at something like that. So
yeah, it's possible.
They do something like that, but I also don't think they were going to repeat what they did last year. So you just can't ever tell. This comes back to what we call like rigging. Like, I feel like if they want to make sure that somebody like Cody is probably going to win, then it's going to have a lot of running, a lot of moving around, suspension things where you have to use your muscles. I feel like that might happen. On the other hand, if they want somebody actually, never mind. Why would they want anybody else besides Cody to come back at this point?
No, that's the thing is I think that they could really do it in a bunch of different ways. I think they could either do it like it was last year where they have, you battling back competition, then you get in, or they could do, one competition where it's endurance or like some random one like BB16 where you're like doing like skee ball or whatever they were doing, or air hockey. And then it also could just be a situation where they use the temptation twist and do like we're going to do another swap or whatever. And they just swap out a person and they have to pick a random vial or whatever. And they end up getting a random person back, which I really hope that's not the case.
Let's talk about that real quick, because I know that on this podcast earlier, we complained about the fact that it was random. And now I hear Melissa complaining about the fact that Christmas got to pick. So what do we want them to do with the curses, I guess?
Have it affect the person that gets the benefit as well.
Yes. Have it affect.
Is there a way that you can make them do that? I don't know. I mean, again, I feel like you have to work at it from the standpoint that they want these temptations to be released into the house. It's like with Survivor and the Hidden Immunity Idols. They want them to be found. So if you know that they're always going to release them into the house, I feel like you can't really do anything that would hurt the person.
I understand that you're saying that, but they also want the curses to fall on people that we don't want them to fall on. I think we're operating from a standpoint where we're already doing things that production doesn't want. So we're saying what we want is it to land on the person that takes the benefit. Yeah. And so I think for something like 3 weeks of safety, somebody will probably take that regardless, especially if they're a new player. Maybe something like the Ring of Replacement, they might be like, I don't know if I'm willing to take a curse for this. But if they're a big target and they feel like if it's somebody like Cody, who's this week needs to play in the veto, he's gonna take it and he's gonna have to face those consequences later. Right. And I think that's really compelling.
Yeah, ideally you put it on the person who gets it. And then, even if they're not willing to do that, at least make it so that the person who gets it could potentially receive the curse. So if you're not willing to give the curse automatically to the person who gets the temptation, then at least put them in the bin to get the random curse. So that way it's you could get it. We don't know. It could be one of your allies, but it's not like you get the benefit of getting the temptation, but you also get the benefit of punishing your opponents. I just feel like it's totally unfair that way. And also I have a question. If somebody say Christmas decides not to take the temptation, is she then allowed to be back in the drawing to get another temptation? Or is it if you don't pick the one you get, you're done? I clarified that earlier. I asked the same question on one of our previous podcasts. Each house guest is given the chance to be offered a temptation once. It's sort of regardless of whether or not they decide. Offer.
Yeah, it's the offer. Yeah, we can make them an offer one time. So Christmas is gone from the table, even if she had turned down the Ring of Replacement.
So they're just really pushing hard on this idea that we need to make sure they accept this temptation because there's zero upside to not accepting it. Yeah.
While we're talking about temptations, can we talk really quickly about the next temptation since voting is open for it?
Yeah, let's talk about it. It's the halting hex.
Okay, cool.
Wait,
Obviously,
isn't voting open until like the 17th? So that means that it's not going to be this week or something. Is that I just saw that online that it's not going to be for this upcoming week. It's going to be for the next week.
No, I mean the halting hex voting is open right now, and
right, but
it continues through until Thursday. The results happen, I think, on Friday, right? I want to say that they do the Den of Temptation on Friday, so that they can have it ready for Sunday's episode. Correct, everybody?
It does say vote closes at July 19th.
Yeah, so it's like not affecting.
Really?
They're like missing a week.
Interesting.
Which is weird. Like it makes me think that something's gonna happen this week or something.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry. Actually, I was not aware of that. So voting is open for halting hex for like an entire like week and a half.
Yeah. So it's like either this week is just skipped and we don't have a temptation, or something else is gonna happen.
I wonder if it's just like a typo.
I know that's what people were asking. They're like, is this just a typo or is this actually?
Well, okay, how about let's just table that discussion for a second, because I think it's actually a typo, but let's assume for the sake of argument that it's not. Just table it for a second. Where the voting is happening right now, I know that for the halting hex. Yeah. Let's talk about who we want to have it. First of all, halting hex, you can cancel an eviction and make it a non-elimination night, essentially. I'm assuming then we would get a new HOH and a new veto winner and all that. Basically like the reset from BB16. And it's good for the next 4 evictions from the time that you get it. I know that people aren't really loving this idea, so I'm going to give you guys 2 options. I was saying Jessica earlier because I feel like she's one of the people more than anything who probably needs it and would really cause a lot of drama in the house. I also feel like Ramsey's really needs it, and he's probably going to get a lot of TV time this week with putting himself up on the block and obviously, earning Paul's consternation from not throwing the veto. So maybe he might be our best bet. But I feel like you cannot give it to Alex. I know a lot of people like Alex, but she's so in Paul's pocket at this point.
Yeah, she's not going to do anything about it. Not at this point.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like if you want this to actually upset the house and you're tired of boring feeds, y'all need to vote for Jessica and hold your nose, or at least vote for Ramsey's. One of the two.
Also, Twitter is going for Jessica. At least, I mean, like you can't say Twitter, like all of Twitter, but like the consensus is generally Jessica from what I'm seeing. But also the problem is that if we have a skip week, then potentially Jessica or Ramsey's gonna be out. And it won't matter, right? Well,
I think they would go to the next highest person, because Jillian was in the mix for earning the ring of replacement, and obviously, that didn't happen, but she could have won it, I guess. And they decided, we'll skip over Jillian. We'll offer it to Christmas, So I'm kidding, obviously. But yeah, she was in the mix. So I think it can still be, we can still vote on people. But
then what happens if then we vote for them and then it ends up being like a wasted vote?
Well, then it's a wasted vote. Yeah. Again, I think this is a typo, but whatever. It's fine.
I don't know. Yeah. When's the Friday episode, by the way? Isn't there like a Friday episode on the schedule that everyone's thinking is going to be like some sort of battle back or something? Because like, why would they have a Friday episode?
Isn't the Friday episode
unless it's a Ziggy Marley concert?
Taryn, do you know when the Friday episode isn't on July 21st? I want to say.
Well, if it is, that would mean it would come right after the halting hex. So that would then yeah, I mean then maybe it does make sense that like, hey,
yep, it's the 21st
halting hex. You get it on the 20th maybe, and then the curse is that there we go. There's a battle back the next day.
Okay, I'm with you now. All right, so maybe it's not a typo. We've worked it out. Maybe the halting hex
coming back.
If you pick the halting hex, then that means that they're going to release an evicted house guest back into the house via some sort of competition or something, because it happens the day of that temptation would be given, because the temptation would be given the next day on the Friday, and I don't know. That's pretty close because the competition is that night. So I don't know. Anyways, the point here is if you want to cause maximum drama, give it to Ramsey's or Jessica. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, about Alex, like, if you're giving it to Alex thinking like, oh yeah, this is going to be anti-Paul, I could honestly see Alex using it to save Paul, like when the show makes his turn on him. Like,
I absolutely see that. I absolutely see her doing that. I don't trust Alex to use it at this point in time, or at least in a way that we want her to use it. I don't see that happening.
That said, I do have a poll going on Twitter, and Alex is in the lead with 29% of the votes. Kevin and Josh tied at 21%, and then there's another 29% for other. So it seems like a pretty evenly distributed vote between like Alex, Kevin, Josh, and then maybe Jessica and Ramsey's are also in the mix here. I only have 4 potential results or options. So
I looked at Big Brother Network, and they had everybody in the poll, and Alex was in the lead by a little bit. But it's still very close. Again, like something like 20% could really win this thing, maybe even less, with so many house guests still in the house and no real consensus on who we want to have it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've been tracking the Big Brother Facebook, trying to see where the casuals are landing with this sort of thing, and there's a lot of "we hate Paul" comments. Get him out of here. It's rigged. We want Cody because he'll keep the season entertaining and exciting. Also, like "we don't like Jessica." So I don't think they're voting for Jessica at all, or if they're voting at all.
I feel like Ramsey's is the one that we can all sort of agree on. Like, I don't really love Ramsey's, but I don't really hate him, and he is sort of being bullied by Paul. So
yeah, my casual correspondent, aka my mom, she likes to tell me who she likes and who she doesn't like, so I can kind of keep like track of what people who don't watch the feeds are thinking. And she is very anti-Paul. She wants Cody to stay. She wants Ramsey's to win the veto, but because she doesn't know what's going on yet. And so I'm assuming she wants Ramsey's to get the next temptation. But
I have a question. Does your mom also, does she sit on the arms of couches and also have a guitar behind her as well?
She does. She does. How did you know?
Your mom sounds exactly like you.
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But no, it's very interesting because I actually kind of thought that she would like Paul, just because like we liked him last season. Like when we watched together on like season 18, we liked him. We thought he was fun. And it's very interesting to see that without my prodding, she was like, Paul is so condescending. He is so horrible. And like, she does not like the fact that he's like running the game. So,
well, the game is rigged for Paul. He did get to go to play Candy Crush in the middle of his season.
He did leave the game to play Candy Crush. So,
I mean, that's very unfair. It strengthened him. He got to see other people. I don't know what the producers were thinking.
I don't know. It's really unfair. He got to talk to Dave on.
Yeah. Can we quickly talk about Candy Crush? Is that okay? Because it came up, so like
it did come up.
Let's just spend 2 minutes. Let's not spend a lot of time on it, but let's just spend 2 minutes. I think it was hilarious. If you guys didn't watch Dave on Snapchat, it was great. I retweeted it. So go to my Twitter timeline. It's all in one big like 2 videos if you want to watch it. It's great. She talks about like, she's on the show. She's there with Paul. Great. She loves Candy Crush. She plays it all the time. She thought this would be a snap. And then she looks and she sees Jeremy's ass there. She's like, why is Jeremy here? He already won $1 million. His greedy old ass is trying to get some more money. And then she's like telling the whole story about her and Paul plotting about what competition they're going to take. And the best part is that Paul is like trying to convince her that they should do the one where they're suspended. And she's like, you just want to be Spider-Man. That's the whole thing. Get your Spider-Man on, Paul. You can get it on another time. Like, that's what we need to do, something on the ground, because that's going to get us the most matches. Well, if you saw the episode, they didn't get the most matches. They did the one that was swinging, and they did really terrible. So she doesn't want to hear it no more because he cost her $100,000. She cost him some money. He cost her some money. She's done with it.
Sugar Rush.
Sugar Rush.
If you haven't listened to those, they're just great. Like, I've never laughed so hard in my life. I see why CBS loves her so much.
Yes, we also did a wonderful recap last night with Matt Hoffman, and that was a lot of fun.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
Like, I was cracking up when I was watching it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's being on with Matt Hoffman, always a blast, especially when we're talking about terrible shows. So I recommend people check that out, even if you didn't watch it. You really didn't need to watch it. So
I did not watch it.
I love how Matt is just exasperated over the show. He's like, why am I here again? What are you making me watch this time, Rob?
we were literally before the podcast just like, man, like I feel like we went through hell together just now. Like I was like, yeah, we're bonded. We band of brothers. We stuck it through Candy Crush. It was
apparently they did pretty well in the ratings, so we might get a little bit more.
Oh my, yeah.
It's all thanks to RHAP.
It really probably is. to be fair.
But yeah, that was an interesting podcast. Definitely an interesting show. But we talked plenty about it yesterday, so let's move on. Continue to talk about the feeds here, and let's continue to talk about Paul, because Paul is he's been talking to the cameras again. He's finally back at it, and he just continues to do some recaps of man, guys, everything from day one has worked out. It's now week 2. And my perfect master plan has played out perfectly. He recaps the entire 2 weeks events as like, oh, I orchestrated everything. And to his credit, he kind of has. But he's also like really patting himself on the back for being in a good position week 2 after being immune for like having immunity for like a total of 4 evictions, like, or 5 evictions almost. Like, it's ridiculous.
He's really making me he's very tiresome right now. My patience is wearing very thin.
I don't know if we
him.
should talk about this a whole lot, Taran. I know we have to, but
you know what I hate so much is when Big Brother contestants they assume that they know what America is thinking and feeling and who America is rooting for. And he keeps telling everyone in the house, like, well, you saw what happened when I got put on the block. America was like, no way, we need to give him safety. So they voted for me to get the temptation. When they saw that Cody was going to go against me, they gave me the temptation. And look at me now, I'm safe. And I'm like, we did not do that. We did not see you going on the block and then vote for you. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, and it makes me so mad because everyone's like, oh yeah, we did see that. Like, America does really like him. It's like, no, I mean, he was just the only one people knew.
I don't begrudge him from saying that to the other house guests, because obviously he's playing the game and he's trying to put the fear of God into them, basically, like, don't go against me. Obviously, when he's talking to us, he should know better more than anything. Now, I know he doesn't know the logistics of when, what was aired, and what Cody said in the diary room previous to us voting. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a pass on that, because from his point of view, it's probably feasible that America would try to save him if they thought Cody was going to go after him, because Paul, going into the house, was a bit of a fan favorite. However, if he was any sort of a Big Brother historian, which he's not, he should know at this point that once you're in power,
when the audience turns.
Yeah, once you're in, Netta can tell you that once you're just because they vote for you doesn't mean that they like you. Like, they're voting for you because they like you right now. But later on, they might not like you so much, especially if you're in power and you're really causing the house. We like drama, and Paul has really minimized that by just sort of bringing everything down to a standstill and having one clear target every week with one clear vote. I think he even said, Taran, you noted that he said he's safe for 6 weeks. I'm like, yeah, Big Brother never works like that. That's Survivor. That's, if you want to play that show, go play Survivor. He's not safe for 6 weeks. Again, I just feel like, I'm not criticizing anybody in particular here. I just feel like that it's a little bit, the sky is falling, Chicken Little, like, just give it a week. I feel like this time next week, people are going to be starting to talk about the fact that Paul's safety is ending. I don't feel like everyone's just going to follow him all the way to the end, like lambs to the slaughter. I just feel like it's a bit of a down week. That's all. And I know it's frustrating. It's all coming from a place of like me being like very upset that Cody is leaving this week. I just feel like he wasn't given a chance. He's been the most entertaining part of this whole season. He's been so, like, the whole season has been, I don't condone all of his actions. I don't condone all of Jessica's actions, but I think that the fact that those two are such great villains, I think they're great villains. I'm enjoying watching everybody hate them and them being like, I just wanted to see a power struggle where it was like they would go back and forth. And I feel like now that Cody's leaving, Jessica's just going to crumble, and then that's the end of that. I don't think that they're great villains. I feel like villains are people that you kind of love to hate. And I feel like everyone just kind of hates Jessica and Cody. Like, they're just despicable people. Like, they're just not people that you want to root for. Like, I know people on Twitter who are like, I understand where you're coming from with the whole, keep Cody in the house thing, but can we not keep some transphobic, homophobic asshole in the house? Like, can't we pick somebody else to keep? And I don't know that I'm necessarily going to assign those terms to him, but I know a lot of people are saying that. So
I just think Cody is so entertaining on the episodes. Maybe not on the feeds, but on the episodes, I think that his reactions are hilarious. I think that his diary room sessions are refreshingly honest and like tame and boring. And I love that because I'm just so sick of people yelling in the diary room. And I just love that he's not buying into any of like the temptation stuff or any of the like costumes or anything. I just think it's hilarious. Like, I don't know. And I just also feel like he's a competitor. He wants to win. He's not afraid to make big moves and to do stuff that's stupid, like to make moves that aren't necessarily the safe move. And I just feel like we're losing a big part of what's made this whole first week so great.
You know what, Melissa? I actually I have a lot of respect for you as a competitor, and I'm hearing a lot of victim noises from Brent. I'm glad that I'm not hearing victim noises from you. I have a lot of respect. Nobody else has respect for you, but I really respect you, and I want to work with you moving forward. Let's backdoor Brent next week. How about that?
I like the dead Cody expression you're giving.
Yeah, right.
Just like dead eyes, just like, I really respect you. Like when the confetti was falling down. He's just like looking around miserable. It's so funny.
I walked into the temptation den and I didn't care. There were a bunch of dolls. I don't like dolls. I'm not into dolls. Why were there dolls?
I just imagine the people in the DR asking him like, so like what happened when you walked into the temptation room? And he's like, I walked into the den of temptation. I don't care. Like, it's just so funny to imagine them like pulling teeth, trying to get stuff out of him and him just giving them nothing. I think it's great.
I wonder at what point they they just gave up. Like, because what they do is they're like, okay, can you say that again? But put a pun in there and
no.
Get more excited, talk louder. And he's like, okay. So he's like, all right. So I walked into the den of temptation. Okay, can we do that a little more excited, a little happier? All right. So I walked into the den of temptation. All right.
Like I just totally imagine that happening. I just think he's such a unique character for the show. I think he's like.
I hear you. Here's a couple things. Number one, I think he's interesting because you've never seen somebody like this before. If anybody else acted like he did, I feel like there wouldn't be any show. Like you can't have somebody just go in there, hey, what's up? Yeah. I mean, it's funny because it's by himself and they're putting some interesting music underneath it and cutting to him at different times. But I feel like that if anybody else tried to do it, it's just not going to be very interesting. Number two, the chat room is hearing our arguments on Cody, and they still don't agree. They're like, he's terrible. And they do make a good point. He's actually terrible on the feeds. I know he's interesting on the show, on the edited show, but he's not great feeds. He just sits in the room with Jessica and makes out all day and bemoans his state.
Cody with Jessica are not good feeds. I've seen Cody with Alex, Cody with other people, and I do enjoy the feeds when he's on with other people and he's talking strategy and he's talking, how do we do this? How do we get like rid of Paul? How do we do this? Whatever he's talking about. I do enjoy him on the feeds for that part. I don't enjoy him and Jessica just sitting around kissing and blah, blah, blah. Like I never enjoy feeds like that. So
it seems like there's always one cam on the two of them.
Yeah, there's the Jody cam.
Yeah.
Just follows them around. Every time they're on just the two of them, I'm like, okay, I can't deal with this. But like when he's talking with Alex, like if we could just instead switch this up, get rid of Jessica this week, even though it like ruins my draft, whatever. We get rid of Jessica this week. We keep Cody. Cody can do something with Alex, Jason, everybody. They can team up, but I don't see Jessica doing that. Yeah, so I don't see anything coming.
I understand her frustration. Here's the thing: Cody's an alpha male. I feel like Matt and Mark are beta males. I feel like the only person who might
Cody?
give us
this is exactly what Cody says.
Well, it's the truth.
They're betas.
Yeah, they are. They're following the leader at this point.
We have our own Cody.
Sorry. I mean, that part is at least true about what he's saying.
Yeah, you really are, Cody, because you were also misrepresenting what was in the not everybody in the chat room was disagreeing with Melissa.
Saw a few people.
It was very back and forth in there.
Well, the people that I like, they
okay. See,
you muted everyone else.
You're like an expressive Cody. You're like the opposite in terms of expressiveness, but the same personality. That's why you don't like him.
The problem is he just will not. I mean, he's not a likable villain, you guys. I'm sorry. Every time I think about wanting to keep him or finding some way to fix this or keep him in the house, I'm just like, he's just kind of generally a terrible person, and I just don't think there's any consensus among people to want to keep him. So I feel like girl bye, he's gone. I feel like the more interesting discussion is talking about what happens with Jessica once he is gone.
Yeah, I find Cody very annoying. It's I like his diary rooms. That's basically the only thing I like about Cody. And I honestly would prefer to see Cameron back than Cody back, because I just feel like he got such a raw deal. Although there is something nice about the idea that Cody is Paul's opposite, and Cody versus Paul battle needs to play out more. And I feel like he's probably the only person in the house right now that's willing to go after Paul. But also, if he comes back, maybe that turns it into a boring game game again, because then it's just a matter of Paul getting Cody out yet again. So I think I'm leaning toward I'd rather see Cameron back, and I know a lot of people would rather see Cody back because they feel like that would be more exciting.
I will say, Hunter Davis in the chat room asks, isn't Brent the one who thinks every season needs a villain? And you're right. I do see reality shows in terms of heroes versus villains. But the problem at this point is that we already have a great villain, and his name is Paul. Like, I don't need anybody else. I need a hero. I need somebody who's willing to take on Paul. And since Cody is on his way out the door, I'm looking around saying, who could that person be? I thought for a while it was going to be Josh. I thought maybe Josh had a secret plan. But then I heard Josh in the feeds today, and he's basically like, Paul, Christmas, Jason, those guys are legit. I'm with those guys. They're not in danger for me. Everyone else, though, I'm coming after him. So he's basically going after the showman's-esque part of Paul's alliance, but he's not going after Paul himself, which is frustrating.
I can't handle Josh on the feeds at all. I can't do it. Like, as much as he's probably a very nice guy,
Melissa, he's a human being.
Yeah, he's a bean. I get it. I can't with him. Like, every 5 seconds, he's like, oh my God, is this live? Is this live? And it's like, yes, it's live. We're on the live feeds. That's enough. Like, that is enough of that. Like, the first day I get it, but now I don't get it anymore. And you need to stop that. And like, he makes me so frustrated. Like, he repeats things over and over. And then every fight he gets into, it's like, stop, don't fight this. Like, just go away. Cause when he got in that fight with Cody and Jessica, where he's all like, you know what? I respect you. I respect you guys as people. I love you guys. I think you guys are great people. It was like, stop saying you respect them. Stop saying, like, Dominique even said it. She was just like, stop saying that you respect them. Stop saying that you think they're good people. Like, that's not going to get anywhere with them. You just need to stop talking to them and just like move on. And I was like, thank you. Like, this fight is so horrible because I just felt so bad for him. He doesn't know when to stop. It's like, Josh, please, please. I don't know.
I'm gonna need people to constantly be doing annoying things on the feed so we can get like angry Melissa on every podcast.
I know that's the problem is I sit there stewing all day when I'm watching the feeds and I'm just about to burst. Most of the time, like, because I haven't been on a podcast in a while, I've just been talking to my mom about it. I'm just like, Mom, oh my God.
I feel like more than anything, Josh is just socially and emotionally immature. Like, he just doesn't know how to act around people. And this house, as we've noted before, is a bit of an older crowd. I feel like he suffers more that than even like Ramsey's does. Ramsey's at least is able to keep to himself. Josh is constantly whining about things. And Taran, I heard you on a previous podcast, and I agree with you that, he definitely gets attacked by Cody, but Josh definitely asks for being attacked by Cody by going in the room and saying,
stop talking.
He just won't leave. He won't stop talking. He's like, I tweeted this earlier. Josh is the millennial that Survivor told us about, like the person who just thinks everything's about them and getting their way and the participation trophy. Like, that's Josh, because he's like, I have feelings. You guys need to listen to me. I have feelings. I'm a person too.
Yeah.
And that's not how real people talk.
That whole conversation where he was like, when he was telling Raven, he's like, you shared your story with the house and I wanted to share my story with the house, but now I wish I didn't share my story with the house because now everyone's attacking me. And it was like, it's not because you shared a story. It's not because of that. Like, they're not attacking you because you love your family. They're attacking you because you won't stop talking to them. Like, just leave the room. Like,
and he repeats things. He's the king of repeating everything. Like, he'll say that to her. Raven will say, I know, honey, it's okay. And the next person comes into the room and he'll repeat it again.
Yeah.
Man, did you hear what happened, man?
I feel like it's just it's a downward spiral for him because, I mean, now that he's caught up in this whole thing, he's just going down and down and down. And like, originally at the start of the season, I was super high on him. I think that when things are going his way, he's fun, he's funny, he's great. But when things are not going his way, he can't handle it. He doesn't know how to like interact with people. And he doesn't know how to take anything that's negative.
But they baby him though too. There's so many women there who just baby him and say, man, it's like, and even the guys too. Yeah, I feel like more than anything, if they would just like not give him what he's wanting, that he would probably stop doing it.
Yeah.
We do have a Christmas update. Some breaking news. Apparently, she told Paul last night that the surgery was postponed to Wednesday, but she had a doctor's appointment today. She apparently just got back and has told everyone. Previously, she had only told Paul and Dominique that she was going to need surgery, but she's now told everyone that she needs to go get surgery. And it's not clear. She's saying she'll be back on Thursday. I'm not sure if that means that she's going to be leaving on Wednesday to get her surgery, or if she's leaving now and won't be back until Thursday.
Can we talk about this?
That's what we're doing.
I mean,
yeah, Taran, can we talk, please?
I'm sorry. Well, we were talking about something else. We were talking about Josh for like longest time. What the fuck is this? I mean, this is Big Brother. How is she just leaving the house for periods of time? You're supposed to be stuck in a house. I'm sorry to swear, but I am just so frustrated. Melissa's frustrated with aspects of the house. I'm frustrated with this Christmas bullshit. It is bullshit that she is able to just randomly leave at different times in the week to go to her doctor's appointment, to her therapy appointment, to her surgery appointment. This is not a stop and go. You don't get to go. You're stuck in the house. If you can't stay stuck in the house, get your ass out.
Yeah. No, I mean, like, I feel like, a one-day surgery where she just has to go in and go out. Like, I get that. That's I mean, like, I'm not a huge fan of the fact that she's like leaving the house so often, but like, okay, one-day surgery, I get it. But leaving the house until like the eviction day and then coming back, if she is in fact leaving right now or today and then coming back on Thursday, I feel like that's way too much time to be out of the game. Like, there have been situations where people have left the house to like visit their sick, ailing relatives, father, family members, whatever, and they weren't allowed back. Like, they were out for maybe like a day. They only needed a day to go visit them, but they weren't allowed to come back. I don't know. I don't like the idea that she can leave for 3 days and then come back. I think that one day,
I don't like that she can really leave at all anymore. I mean, to get her foot checked on, yes. To get it dealt with, yes. But if it's going to be an ongoing situation, I'm actually really hoping that Christmas is out of the house on Thursday and Cody gets to stay.
I hope so too. Great. I mean,
I feel like production knows it, like, because she's not really giving them anything either. Like, I mean, and she has all these appointments. Like, I mean, I can't even believe that they're allowing this from a liability point of view. I know that they sign something when they go in the house, but if they're knowingly letting her continue in the game and something else happens to her foot, I feel like they could be really in some hot trouble. So,
well, especially because like if she was allowed back in the house but wasn't allowed to compete in anything, maybe. But the fact that they're allowing her to like crawl around on the ground when her foot is like torn apart to like do that last HOH, like I just don't think that that's good for the show to do at all. I think that they really need to just have her go. I mean, like she probably signed a waiver, signed away all her, you know.
And it's not like the show can't deal with this. I feel like they would like to keep Cody in the house. I feel like, you know what, Paul's been getting everything. I would just love for his plan to blow up at the last minute. You know, you've had everything perfectly. Guess what, bitch? I'm staying in the house and I'm coming after your alliance. That's what I would like to see.
That would be an amazing Thursday episode. I would love it.
Yeah, so it isn't quite clear whether or not she will be gone for a few days, or if I don't think anybody knows for certain. I think people are assuming that because she said she'll be back on Thursday, that she'll be gone for a couple days. But I think if I had to guess, I think the surgery is still scheduled for Wednesday, and that she'll be gone overnight, and we'll get back on Thursday. And I have to say, I don't have a problem with this, not nearly as much as you guys do. I feel like if they feel like they can keep her isolated enough, then why not do it? Like I don't want anybody to have to leave the house if they don't need to. She can still participate in a decent amount of the competitions that aren't physical. I think that I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I think that you do everything you can to let these people stay in the game if they're capable of it. And I think that if she is capable of it, then let her stay. If she's not, then pull her out. But I don't think she isn't capable of it.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking of it from, first of all, an entertainment perspective where I want Cody to stay. Second, from a legal perspective where she should not be competing in these physical content. Like if she was competing in like the mental ones where they're holding up true false, like that's fine, whatever. But these physical ones, like that's huge and that's horrible. Like legally, they need to watch out.
Yeah, I agree because I know she signed the thing about the liability, but it's foreseeable. I mean, like at this point, they know she has an injury. They know it's a huge problem. They're choosing to allow her to continue to participate in some of their competitions. I feel like they could be sued from you could foresee this standpoint. Like if it's foreseeable and you still let somebody do it, I feel like that's a real legal problem. But I know we're talking over people's heads.
I was about to say, like, I assume they have lawyers and I'm not one, so I'm not going to speculate. But we actually do have one.
Yeah.
Like, Melissa, like, I mean, you probably aren't, knowledgeable about this particular specific area.
Yeah,
but
I feel like, yes, I'm very knowledgeable actually about specifically reality shows where a contestant injures themselves.
Yeah, but I mean, you are based in California. This is a California show, and you are a member of the California Bar. So it's not a great idea for them to continue to let her stay in the house, right?
It's not a great idea at all. Especially, I mean, it really depends like what the contract was that she signed and what waivers that she signed. But like, you know, just like to be safe, I really think that like to be safe, she shouldn't be competing in any of these physical contests. Like, I mean, originally, like when it was just like, oh, maybe it was a sprain, who knows what it is, then it's like, okay, yeah, I guess that's fine. But now that they know that she's getting surgery on it, like, yeah, that's not good.
Do you think that maybe the idea is basically any competition that's physical, they'll just automatically sit her out and she can only participate in the quiz competitions? And in that case, like she won't be moving around, she won't be doing anything physical. And maybe they told her that, and that was the stipulation for, okay, you can stay, but we will sit you out of any competition that we deem too. But
they already let her play in this, in the one where she's crawling around on the ground. Like it's foreseeable that somebody could have like tripped over her leg, so she could have like, you know, it could have really hurt her in that contest. So, I mean, it's tough because maybe that, I mean, at that point, I don't think they knew like how bad it was, or maybe they did. I don't know the timing of it, but I think that she should just participate in true false, like quiz competitions.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that, you know, hopefully, I assume, because again, I assume like this is a, you know, a big production. I assume they have lawyers on hand who are telling them this is what we can and can't do. And, you know, I am not involved in production decisions. I would prefer to see Christmas in the House. And if they deem it acceptable, then I'm willing to trust them. And you know, it's not on me if Christmas ends up suing them. So, so like,
yeah, true.
I have no stake in that. So I want to see Christmas. I don't want to see another person leave due to these circumstances if we don't have to. So I would be happy if she is able to stay. But you know, I understand that some other people want to see her go, I guess.
No, see, it's not that I want to see her go, because like if anything, I would want Christmas to stay and maybe someone else to go. But you know, I do like the idea that like, if she might leave during this week rather than like she might leave during the week when we would like get to keep Jillian. So like I'd much prefer her to stay like for that week or whatever, but I would like to see Cody stay as well. I'd like to see them both stay. So I don't know.
Okay. Let's do a Stockwatch here. Hopefully we'll go a little faster than the last time. And we actually have some changes to talk about. And I think the first person we need to talk about is Paul. You know, I think he was doing pretty well last week. He's in some ways he's doing better, but in other ways he's doing worse. So where do we want to? What are we doing with Paul here? Are we buying or selling on Paul? Brent?
I mean, so just to be clear about the Stockwatch, we're buying or selling in terms of like lasting another week or doing well in the game or winning the game? What are we actually talking about here?
In terms of their position to win the game from last week to this week, are they on the up or are they going down?
I feel like okay, I feel like that I would buy Paul stock at this point. I feel like he's more valuable this week than last week. I do like some of the things that he's done this week by establishing a Derek-esque vibe in the house. About he's the leader. He's the vet. He's explaining to everybody what to do. The one thing I don't like is that Derek was able to sort of be able to hide the fact that he was the one in charge. Paul is not really doing a great job of that. But on the other hand, no one seems to really care at this point. They're all happy because they're safe and they really want to get to juries. So I do feel like that his game more than anything at this point is pretty good with everybody. He doesn't really have a clear enemy in the house other than, say, Jessica, and she can't do anything about it at this point. I don't even know if Ramsey's would necessarily go after him. Ramsey's might want to think long picture and make a deal with Paul, but that would probably be a wrong thing to do.
Yeah, Melissa, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree with Brent. I guess bye. This week.
I think I liked his game last week better, I think, because
really
he was saying better things, and I had more faith that he was going to be able to lie low. He's still saying that he plans on lying low after this week. After this week is done, he gets this plan out of the way, but I'm not sure he's going to be capable of it. I'm not as sure as I was last week.
I don't see him laying low
exactly. So I really do feel like he's got some comeuppance coming his way. So I don't want to necessarily buy, but I'm also not necessarily super down on it. So I think I'd stay where I was last week with Paul.
He's on like the phase 3 of the netting, right?
See, okay, people keep comparing him to Netta. I really don't see that comparison at all. I think they're very, very, very different players. I think Paul is being Paul right now, whereas Netta was in it was a longer period of immunity. I think that a lot of it had to do with the fact that she was playing with some friends of hers, with some fan favorites.
Yes.
And had somebody in Ica who was a friend who then became an enemy. Whereas Paul is like the only veteran in the house. he's been immune for 3 weeks, or he is immune for 3 weeks, and he's just kind of being more himself with this immunity. Like he just immediately reverted back to the Paul that we saw in Big Brother 18. So I really don't. I mean, I understand that I
think that it's funny to see like a very similar scenario where they are both like vets. They both come in, they were loved on their season. They each get safety for a set number of weeks. They win HOH week 2, win veto that same week. Like, I just think it's very like funny how similar it is.
It is, and I think what it's showing us is that, you know, whether you're a great player or a good player or any kind of player, if you're given immunity for a long period of time, you are going to get, like, it's going to go to your head, like, regardless of who you are. And I think that's an interesting aspect of it, and I think we really need to stop giving out long periods of immunity.
Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about Christmas. From last week, it seemed like she could be out the door. Potentially, the votes weren't locked in until the very end of that week. So, are we going up on Christmas or down here? What do you think, Melissa?
It is very tough because she could potentially leave the house this week, you know, because of her surgery. So, but if she stays, I think that I would say up because, you know, now she was a huge like physical competitor, and now you take that out and people are going to be like, oh, well, I don't really see her as a threat because there's no way she's going to win comps versus me or whatever, you know? So I think that, and also now that her and Paul are kind of like in the majority, but she's not part of the showmances, so they're not going to view her as part of the big alliance. Like, I just think that there are a lot of aspects on her that make me think that we should be buying Christmas, but at the same time, she's injured, so she could say sell at the same time.
I will say that setting aside her injury for a moment and just treating her like every other house guest, I would say that I would sell Christmas stock at this point because I feel like more than anything, she has really shown the house that she is very loyal to Paul, and people see them as a pair. I know Paul was talking with Christmas earlier saying you need to distance yourself. They really need to do a good job of that because I feel like the house sees them as a pair, and if anybody goes after Paul, they're going to go after Christmas. And if somebody like Jessica or Ramsey gets power this next week, I feel like since he can't go after Paul, or they can't go after Paul, then they're going to go after his right-hand man, and that's Jessica, or that's Christmas.
Yeah. I agree. I'm selling I'm selling Christmas. I felt like last week, the fact that she was injured was a good thing. I think that people are going to underestimate her ability. People are going to think, oh, she can't win competitions, she's not a threat. But I think her behavior in the last week, well, not atrocious by any means, but she has gotten into some fights. She has not been super communicative with people like Alex and Jason, which are the people that she really needs to be, have on her side. Alex is talking about, I need to take out Chris. Christmas is a big target for Jessica, for Alex, for Jason. Those people are going to be gunning for her. So if the cards don't fall right, then she is going to get hit by a stray bullet here. And people are even like, oh yeah, Christmas wants Paul to be her number one, but Paul knows that he needs to distance himself from Christmas. People see her as a target, and that's not how I felt like she was going to be handled in this week. So I am selling on her. I feel like this is not quite where she should be given where she was last week. So sorry, Christmas, but you're going down. But moving on, let's talk about, let's get Cody out of the way here. Obviously, Cody on his way out of the house. We were really down on him last week, but, it's gone even further downhill from here. Certainly he has a shot if there's a battle back. If there's any kind of competition to come back, he has a shot to come back. But even then, he has no connections. He has no ability to make new connections. I feel like even if he does come back, he'll just be a blunt instrument. He'll win a competition. He'll disrupt the state of things, and then he'll go out the next week, right?
Yeah, that's basically how I see him. I would sell Cody's stock at this point, even with a battle back or a buyback on the horizon. He also hasn't done a good job of sort of making sure that what he wants to happen happens. Like, he's trying to reintegrate Jessica a little bit into the house, but doing a really terrible job of that. He's also been telling people that of the people they should evict the women. And it's the way he says it that it's just so fucking condescending. It's just like, don't go after the men, go after their hearts, go after their women. First of all, I don't know if it's their women. Like, it's not like they possess them or something. Second of all, everybody knows that's your plan. So if they don't like you and no one does, then it doesn't seem like they're going to do exactly what you want them to do. So he can't even do that part right. He can't even be evicted right, Taran.
Yeah. Also, I feel like it's not even necessarily the most sound strategy. There are competitions that favor a woman's body type over a man's body type. And if he runs into one of those, then he's in trouble. Whereas I feel like he can outmuscle most of the guys there. Certainly not like outmuscle as in like be stronger than somebody like Mark.
Right.
I feel like he's more physically capable of winning than any other physical competition versus a guy than he is versus a girl where a woman where it's a suited competition for women, like an endurance competition where they have to hang off of a wall or something along those lines. So it's not even the most sound strategy as far as I'm concerned. But yes, certainly I think we are all selling on Cody, right, Melissa?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah. hopefully you weren't holding any Cody stock to begin with, but
I am. He's in my draft.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Jessica. Jessica is in an interesting situation here. Obviously, she is still isolated with Cody. I think her game is still going. It's in a tailspin. She shows no real sign of improving as of yet, but she doesn't seem like much of a threat. And Paul is kind of pushing, maybe we should go after Ramses or Jason before we go after Jessica. And if they leave Jessica alone for too long, at some point, especially with Cody out of the house, I feel like somebody's going to think, you know what? She's a valuable piece. Let me pick her up. Let me, wrap my wing around her and say, let's keep Jessica. Let me make a move with Jessica, at which point she could find new life in the game, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Melissa, you have to be with me on this one. Like, more than anything, I feel like for Jessica's game, Cody needs to go bye-bye. Like, there's no scenario I see where Cody coming back into the game is advantageous for Jessica. More than anything, I feel like she needs to make new bonds with people. If Cody's not there, she's going to have to make new bonds with other people. And the people in the house, they don't really feel like she is much of a threat at this point. As Taran correctly points out, the house wants to evict Ramses for the most part, but there are other people in Paul's alliance that want to go after Jason. So I feel like that Jessica is at least third or fourth on the pecking order, and by then things could really break open.
Yeah, I just feel like the issue with Jessica is she just needs to get it together and start making friends with people outside of Cody. And I think that she is got too much pride, or I don't know what it is, to
I don't know either.
Actually like try and make friends with people. Like, she originally had bonds with people, but now all of a sudden she's like, there's no way we could be friends, like it's over. And so nobody in the house likes her. She needs to shed this mean girl persona that people have are associating with her now. She needs to just be like, look, like, I was just really hurt. I was sad. I thought you didn't like me anymore. Like, whatever she has to do to get back in these people's good graces. Because I do think that at least, I think Elena and Raven and stuff, they might be willing to befriend her again if she were to come to them just, totally apologetic and totally like, look, I was just hurt. I was sad. Like, I didn't know what to do, whatever she has to say. And I think that if she did that, she could get in.
Yeah, I'm buying Jessica stock at this point. I feel like Cody's about to be evicted. Her stock's going to be on the rise. More than anything, I feel like that she just needs to go back to the woman that we saw coming into the house, who was personable and bubbly and nice and kind. I mean, no offense, but where did that girl go? I mean, this is the woman that Melissa fought me for in the draft. Like, I was going to take Jessica first because I didn't feel like anybody really saw what I saw in her, and Melissa went and swiped her up. And this is the person that was at the top of Matt and Lily, or Liana's, I call her Lillian. Oh my God, she have my ass for that. Liana's rankings when they did their BB rankings on Rob as a website. But what has happened to her? It's like she said going into the game, I'm going to play like Janelle. I'm going to be a competition beast. I am not going to be in a showmance, and I'm not going to cause any drama. First of all, I don't know what she's talking about with Janelle and not causing drama. But nevertheless, she said she wasn't going to cause drama. And that's all she's done. She just she can't, everything's personal with her. She can't see it as game related. I don't know how the rational part of her brain can't see the perspective of these other people who, I'm sorry, but Cody totally blindsided them just like he blindsided you. I feel like more than anything, Cody, like I said, Cody needs to be gone. Once he's gone, Jessica's going to do fine. I know a lot of people really don't like her right now. 2 weeks from now, you're all going to be in the chat room saying, yes, queen, yes.
I just feel like she's lost all perspective of this being a game. I think she needs to get back into the fact that, like, this is a game. This is not like real life. Like, she's sitting there like crying and being so depressed about Cody going and da-da-da-da. She needs to just be like, look, I need to pull it together for the game. I need to start like bonding with people and distance myself from Cody right now. I just feel like she needs to remember why she's there in the first place. And you know, she's just got to do it.
Well, I think what happened was she drew a line in the sand. You know, she felt like Christmas talked to her and said, if I stay, I'm coming for you. And she felt like, okay, there it is. Line in the sand. If you're either with me or you're against me. And
I'm against you, Russell.
And everyone was against her. And so she was like, everyone has betrayed me. Woe is me. Everything is the worst. And she's going to have to get out of that. It seems like she is slowly starting to recognize, okay, I need to get out of this mode if I want to last anywhere in this game. But I think this is also another example of like, something that we don't often recognize or give credit to, but this whole thing where people were lying about their votes, I think the reason why she felt confident in drawing that line in the sand is because she felt like she had the votes, and she felt like she had the votes because she was being lied to. And if there was a James who was like, listen, guys, the votes aren't there. Let's not blindside you. Christmas is staying. Then they would have had time to be like, okay, we need to eat some humble pie right now and get on board with this idea before Christmas stays. But the fact that she didn't, the fact that she was like, you know what? This sucks. I hate all of them, but we have the votes, so suck it to them. They're gonna see. Once the votes come in, they're gonna see. I'm gonna be right. Everything's gonna be perfect. And then she was blindsided, and she has to like. Now, like, she's still recoiling from that blindside. The fact, like, all of these lies, you know, between Ramsey being blamed for the vote, the Cody and Jessica being isolated because they thought they had the votes and they didn't. That's very important. We don't often see it happen, but it's a very effective strategy for bonding a team together against these other people and keeping them from bonding together against you. And it's impressive work from Paul that I do think we need to give credit to. But again, I think he's doing it in a very obvious way, and I do think that he'll have some comeuppance eventually.
Yeah, I agree. It's something we don't see. You're right. I forget about how many times James ruined a blindside last year. Somebody tweet him and tell him how many times he ruined a blindside for me. Tell him it's from Brent on RHAP. Yeah.
I'm very glad we don't have a James here. Like, to be fair, like, I am very glad we do not have that going on, because that would suck. I hated that. So I'm very happy that that is not the case anymore.
Yeah, that's what we wouldn't have got that Jillian with her mouth open on the floor like Dustin in BB-8. That was just great. Oh my God, it was great.
All right, moving on. Let's talk about Matt. I feel like for the most part, he's just even, right? Like,
just stay.
People occasionally talk about him as a target. They occasionally don't talk about him as a target. It's the same from last week. Nothing's really changed with Matt, right?
Yeah,
that's the problem. Nothing's changed with Matt. I mean, I guess I'm going to buy, because I don't see anyone really coming after him. I feel like more than anything, they probably go after Mark. There's a little bit of tension there between Mark, Dominique, Elena. So maybe that might cause something, but everybody seems to really like Matt. His only one problem would be, obviously, if he ends up on the block against Raven. I don't know that he has it in him to campaign against Raven. But that's a whole nother thing. Yeah.
Yes. If anything, maybe Matt has a little bit gone up from last week, because I feel like he was a little bit more of a target last week. Cody going out helps him, because Cody was kind of gunning for him in some ways. And I think that the target has shifted a little bit from like, okay, let's target Matt and Raven, or Matt and Mark, to let's target like Mark and Christmas, or Christmas and somebody. So I think it's a little bit positive for him, but I'm not ready to buy yet by any means.
Yeah, I agree. Going into that HOH competition, there were people who, if they won, they would have nominated him, like him with Mark. I think even like Jason or Alex or somebody like that would have done that, but it wasn't to be. And now the target has shifted.
Yes, and Raven, I think also about the same from where she was last week. Still a pretty good spot here. I don't think anyone's really targeting her anytime soon. Even the people that Cody wants to, like, he's like, go after the girls. I still don't think Raven is going to get the bad end of that stick. Right, Melissa?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I will say with Raven that, like, it's hard. It's so hard to say, because I feel like we aren't getting a sense of any of those people's actual gameplay until the Paul immunity is up. And I mean, even then, like, we don't know if we'll actually see any gameplay. Like, so we don't know until Paul's immunity is up if they're going to actually turn on him, or if they're really just going to try and ride with him the whole way through. Although I will say that, like, the fact that everybody's sitting there saying that they're going to play for Raven and they want Raven to win, and that, like, ultimately, like, they want to get Raven to the end, but they're willing to get, second place. It's good for my draft, but bad for myself as a viewer. It frustrates me so much. It's just so Frustrating.
Wait, I'm sorry. I got a phone call really quickly. What is she so frustrated about with Raven?
Everybody's saying that Raven, we're gonna I want Raven to win. She deserves it. She needs the money.
Yeah. I know. I'm very frustrated with that as well. But I don't think it's really going to be a problem. I really do feel like once people get closer to the money, they're going to be like, look, this is a game. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a game.
I agree. I completely agree with that. And I also would say that if I was in the house right now, I would be saying the same thing. Of course, I wouldn't mean it. And I don't necessarily think that people are lying about it now, but it wouldn't surprise me if they were, because I would be. So,
although I will say that everyone's saying, like, can you imagine what America would think about you if you voted Raven out, if you were the person to get Raven out? So, like, they're saying stuff like that. And I feel like that starts to weigh in people's minds. Like, oh, shoot, like, America really will hate me if I do that. So, yeah, I
think it's going to help her moving forward. But when it comes down to it, nobody is going to hand her the money. When the decision is, should I do the thing that's selfish for me, or should I do the thing that's good for somebody else, or that's good morally, or that people won't hate me for? People will always choose what they think is in their own best interests. And I would put money down that, you know, Raven gets cut going to the final two. She doesn't make it past final three here if people think that they're going to lose to her. It's another thing if they think that she's going to lose to them, but if they think, oh, I'm gifting this to Raven, this is not going to happen. So anyway, let's move on to Elena. Elena, I feel like I don't know. I feel like maybe a little bit down from last week. Do you agree, Brent?
Yeah, definitely a little bit down. She's even, as I mentioned previously, there's tension between Dominique, Mark, and her. Mark is even saying negative things about Elena here and there, about, like, you know, he doesn't trust her. I feel like that she might be nominated by somebody like Jessica if Jessica wanted to go after Christmas, and Jessica also really doesn't like Elena. Yeah, I don't feel great about Elena. I feel like of the people in that alliance, she's probably, if they're gonna go after that alliance, and it's gonna happen sometime, I feel like she's probably target number 1 or number 2.
Yeah, and I don't think she's even recognized just how, you know, much on Dominique's radar she is, which is very unfortunate for her.
Yes.
And we've even had Mark say to Dominique, yeah, I'm going to cut Elena once we get to jury. I'm on board with that. I feel like Elena, even with the people that she's closest to, does not have a solid grasp on the game. If there's one thing in Elena's favor, it's that she has a decent relationship with Ramsey's, and that could help her moving forward if Ramsey's manages to survive the next couple of weeks. But from where she had that last week too, and she also had closer allies last week. So I'm gonna say she's on the downhill from here, and I'm gonna be selling on Elena.
Yeah.
Yep. Me too.
Same.
So let's talk about Mark. I think Mark is somebody who is, again, in a similar situation, but there is a little bit of development here with Dominique and a little bit with Christmas. He has this rocky relationship with Christmas, and then also with Elena. What do you think about Mark, Melissa?
Yeah, it's tough to say because I feel like a lot of people like him, though. So I guess, like, I would kind of just stay the same on him, I think, because I don't really see anything so bad that's going on with him. And I think that he's got good relationships with, like, a variety of people because, you know, depending on the situation, it could help him. He's got the Dominique thing. He's got the Elena thing. He's got, like, a few other relationships with people. So I think that I'm just going to, like, sit same with
I'm
Mark.
gonna buy on Mark. He has formed some really great bonds with people that I didn't even necessarily expect him to. Apparently, before the feeds came on, him and Kevin made some sort of a pact that Mark was emphatic about telling Kevin that, you know, no matter what happens, that pact is so good that they're in it together. So that's good for him there. With Josh, I feel like Mark has done some really good work, like a big brother, talking to him, like, you know, telling him to stay out of the drama. Of course, a lot of people have done good work with Josh, but I feel like that Josh didn't trust Mark for the longest time, and I feel like he trusts him more now. That's one less person who would go after Mark if they won HOH. And like you said, he's a really sweet guy. Bit of a beta.
Yeah, I mean, Mark really, he's made some good bonds with people, and I do think that he's made some good inroads. You know, Jason and Alex are talking about, like, maybe we can pull Mark into some sort of alliance. Kevin obviously had this bond with Mark. As you mentioned, he's talked with Josh a lot. He obviously has like 3 women who are vying for his obedience in Christmas, Dominique and Elena. So Mark is really well connected. That does make him a little bit more of a target, but I don't see anybody really taking a shot at him anytime soon. So I do think I think he's on the rise a bit here. So I'd buy Mark.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to Dominique. We were pretty high on Dominique last week. Very hopeful. I'm still hopeful for Dominique. I like the I like the way that she operates, but I'm losing hope that she has the sort of like cutthroat strategic edge in her, and that maybe she is just kind of interested in Mark, and that's where this is Elena thing is coming from.
Well, you had mentioned earlier that you're really disappointed in her, so tell everyone why.
Well, not like really disappointed. I'm just, like I said, I'm kind of like losing hope that she is this player that I think we want her to be.
But I think something's causing that, though. So, like, well, I guess I'm trying to get you to talk about that.
It's the fact that she is continuing to like, her interests seem to lie in Mark and not a whole lot of other people. She's still not communicating with the other side of the house. She's still focusing on Elena and Ramsey's, and she's still like, the majority of her conversations are with Mark, and she's focusing too much attention on that, and it's making me think that that maybe the whole thing is that she is a little bit interested in Mark.
That's it. Yes, we thought that she was like the puppet master. We're like, that's great that she's using Mark, like that there's a bond there and she can use that. But now we think that, oh no, she's actually kind of falling for him, and it's like her throwing shade on Elena is nothing more than petty jealousy. That's what's really like brought her down in my eyes.
I really hope that that's not what it is. Like, I really hope that she actually. Because I loved when I was seeing her and Mark playing chess upstairs, and I thought, you know, this could be another Danielle and Jason scenario. Like, I don't know. I guess I was just, maybe it was wishful thinking. I don't know. But I was thinking that, like, you know, they would always play cards together and they'd talk, and now these guys are always playing chess and they're talking strategy. Like, secretly, they've got this secret thing going on. But I don't know. I feel like I'm not seeing it right now in Dominique, that I'm seeing like actually that she's the master strategist or anything. I guess maybe because I'm not seeing any potential conversation with like the feeders to like let people in on what she's thinking or anything. So maybe if she were to like tell us like, oh yeah, I am actually doing what you were all hoping, then I would be like, oh great, perfect. I like problem solved. But I don't know.
Yeah, she also seems to have a lot of trust in Paul. She's doing a lot of work for him to be like, listen, guys, we should trust Paul. He's going to get us to jury. He's going to do everything for us. Which, again, like you can interpret that in a way where it's like, yeah, that's true. You should use him to further you along in the game.
But it's like, is she using him?
But then, it's like, is she going to? It's hard to tell, and I'm losing hope that she is going to. I'm not quite ready to sell yet, but I'm not going to buy anymore.
Listen, I know that nobody was like the biggest fan of BBOTT, but we could really use some live DRs right now. I thought for sure that they would carry that over. I mean, it was literally no skin off their back. You post some like placard questions on the wall of the DR, have everybody come in for 5 or 7 minutes or whatever, and talk to America and talk to the feeders and let us know what's going on. I mean, I asked Rob last week on Twitter, but of course he doesn't read my Twitter. So I asked him last week on Twitter to ask Alison Grodner this. I'm hoping he can this week, because I feel like it really needs to be asked, because they saw what a success it was last week. Look, I see the look on your face, Taran. Do I really think that Alison Grodner is going to change? But look, I want her to know
refraining to say it.
I want her to know that we're pissed off that we don't have live DRs anymore. Okay, so
her answer is just going to be like, DRs are great. They're a great way to understand what the players are thinking. Next question.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree though. I think that we need to know.
She's not answering any other questions, so why not ask this one?
Yeah, and like it used to be like back in the day, you'd watch things on the feeds and you'd be like, man, I need to tune into the episodes because I need to see what this person is thinking.
Yeah.
And we would see a DR and they'd tell us what they were thinking, and we'd be like, okay, now we know what they're thinking. Nowadays it's like, okay, I need to watch the episode, see what they're thinking. Okay, we're getting a DR. Oh, it's Christmas, making Christmas puns.
Yeah. Oh wait, it's a pun.
It's Paul talking about soiling his pants. It's like they're not actually telling us anything. I still don't know anything about Kevin. I don't know anything about Dominique. Like, I need to know more, and I'm not getting it. There's nowhere to get it. It's unfortunate. But let's move on to Kevin, the other person that's a bit of an enigma. It's a tongue twister. I like where Kevin is from last week. I think that his stock in terms of win equity is rising, even though the game he's playing is more dangerous. Do you agree with that, Melissa?
Yeah, I think I would buy Kevin this week. I think that he's gotten in with basically everyone. I feel like everybody likes him at least. He can make people, he even made Cody laugh. So that was huge. He is a great storyteller. People love listening to him. And he's not an idiot. So I think that he really, I think he could go really far. So I would like to buy.
As far as his stock from last week, I would sell because I feel like more than anything, people are going to be on to him sooner than later. Like, this cannot continue. These secrets are going to get out, even with Jason in the house, who's a complete idiot about everything. Like, they're going to get out. So when they do, when his table image is shattered and people say, oh my God, like, he's lying to us right now. He lied to me when we were talking in the bedroom. I feel like they're not going to put up with that for very long.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I think his position is much more precarious than it was before. But it's in some ways, I'm seeing it as like before he was, or we kind of saw him as potentially this older character. They never win the game. They always make it far, but they never win. And because they don't usually play the game very hard, they're not usually involved in the game. Whereas I feel like Kevin has, since last week especially, he's really stepped into the game, and that does make him more vulnerable. But I think it also puts him in a position where he's more likely to end up as the winner of the game.
The frustration from my standpoint is that I just don't know what the hell he's doing and why he's doing it. I know what, in fact, I take that back. I know what he's doing. I can see it happening, okay? I saw him saying to the other side, I'm going to vote to keep Christmas. As to why he ultimately decided to do that, I have no flipping idea.
Yeah.
Why?
Oh, that's the problem, because it could be that he's really thinking strategically. He's really thinking ahead. Like, he's just got it all lined out. But it also could be that he's, who knows what he's doing and why, and he really doesn't have reasons behind it, and he's just, going from week to week. But so it's, until we actually know what he's thinking, like, it's very hard to say whether or not we should be buying or selling with him. But
yeah, I think I'm going to buy, though. I'm higher on him than I was before, so I'm willing to buy a little bit of stock here. Moving on, let's talk about Alex. It certainly wasn't in a great spot last week. It's still not in the best spot in the world, but she's kind of a hard one to judge. What do you think, Brent?
Buying Alex stock. I heard Matt talking to some of his friends earlier saying that he really likes her. She's integrated well with elements of the house. I feel like she's 4th or 5th on the totem pole at the bottom at worst. So I think it would be a difficult situation to see her go home right now or anytime soon. I feel like her strategy is somewhat sound, where she's like, look, we just need to lay low and eventually they'll kill each other. But I also don't like it when she's talking with people going, Paul's basically won the game and we can maybe get second place at this point. Yeah. But I don't know if she's just, my worry is she actually does believe that. Mm-hmm. And that is troublesome.
My hope is that she doesn't believe it and she's just saying it as part of her strategy. So we'll see.
Yeah, this is the person that got herself nominated, almost evicted, and I'm not super happy about that, but it does seem like she's learned her lesson to some extent. She's talking about we need to start kissing butt. We need to start, laying
which is good.
Time. Yes. The problem is she may have gone too far in that direction and is not planning enough of a revolution that she might end up just being picked off at some point because she never gathered any numbers. But I do think she's probably in a better position than she was before, especially although with Cody going out in the way that he did, I feel like she would have been in a much better position had Jillian stayed. So in some ways she has gone down, but I think the fact that she's learned from her mistakes a little bit gives me a little more hope that she's going to do better in the future. So I am willing to buy a little bit here. I'm not buying too much. I'm just buying like a couple stocks here.
Yeah, and she also, when she was giving Jason advice on like how to play and what to do and how they're going to move forward in terms of strategy, I was really liking what she was saying. So I was really, before she had that conversation with Jason, I was like, oh, brother, like Alex, I was really starting to feel her. I was really getting excited about her. And then it was like she was just kind of following along with Paul. But then when she spoke with Jason, it was like, look, we've got to just suck up to them right now. We really need to kiss butt. Like, you need to do this. You need to do that. You need to do this. I really liked what she was saying to him. So, and I felt like she really had like a good strategic mind when she was saying that stuff. So I'm hopeful that is how she's going to be moving forward.
All right, let's move on to her partner in crime, Jason, the cowboy. What do we think about Jason? Because
sell. Like, this guy is not made for the Big Brother game. At least he knows it, but that doesn't win him a whole lot of points with me. He's being told the truth so many times, and he constantly feels like it's a plan or a sham or a scam or something to screw with their heads. I mean, I'd never seen somebody be so wrong about so many things, Taran, as you point out, since Meg in BB17. But it's just frustrating to watch. And he also lied about his vote to people when he probably didn't have to. He could have just said, look, I love Jillian. Again, I don't know why you're going to lie about your vote. Just own it more than anything. On the other hand, Ramsey basically did own it, and they're still blaming him. So maybe he knows what he's doing. Right.
Yeah, Jason, he's becoming a bigger target. Paul is really putting the target on him. He doesn't see that coming from Paul. And Paul plans on blaming Jason for this hinky vote being thrown in by Kevin. So he really wants Jason gone soon. And he's trying to do his best to get that target on him. Jason is not doing himself any favors when he goes and he talks to Cody and Jessica when nobody else will. So we have to be saying, yeah, I'm probably selling Jason right now. But moving on, finally, let's talk about Ramsey's. Somebody else who is one of Paul's next targets. He's trying to set Ramsey up here. Ramsey's, poor Ramsey's, he's really been set up, right, Melissa?
Yeah, poor Ramsey's. He's just got so many things going wrong for him all at once. I've got to sell Ramsey's, I think, because unless he gets the temptation or something goes his way, which I don't see that happening. I see him leaving. So.
I mean, I'm gonna converse on this one because I'm gonna buy Ramsey's stock at this point because he got through the curse. He's not gonna be evicted. He successfully did it when I was campaigning for him to wait as long as possible, and he's in the clear right now. Now he's next on the target list for many people, but not everyone. And he has friends within the alliance who would like to see other people go before him. So I think Ramsey's will do okay. And I do feel like his screen time is going to increase. I feel like the chances of him getting the temptation, look, honestly, I feel like it's between him and Alex at this point. I feel like one of the two of them is probably going to get the halting hex. And I really pray that if it's not going to be Jessica, that it's going to be Ramsey's.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel what you're saying, because I think that basically if Ramsey's makes it through the next 2 weeks, I think that the natural arc for the nerdy superfan is going to kick in. People are going to start to underestimate him again. They're going to think we can get him out whenever we want. He'll start winning competitions down the end of the road, and he can be a potential winner candidate. The problem is he needs to get through those couple weeks, and Paul is dead set on making sure he leaves. So he needs to survive it long enough for the revolution to happen, for Paul to lose power, and then at that point, I think he has a great shot at winning the game even. The problem is he's really in a lot of trouble here. If he gets this halting hex, that's going to be huge for him. I think that could help him get through these next couple of weeks. But it's hard to say.
But on the other hand, the voting is open until the 19th, so we think. So he may not even have the chance to get the temptation. He may be out the door next week if Paul has his way. Paul was talking to his alliance saying, hey, I'm just putting it out there. Actually, more than Jessica, I feel like Ramsey's is target numero uno. Some people agreed with that. Paul said, look, I'm just throwing it out there as a suggestion. Obviously, whoever gets power, you can determine who you want to go after. I'm not going to force anybody to do that, which was some good work on Paul's part, and at least he didn't try to strong arm everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sell Ramsey's. I'm going to hold on to anything that I had before. I'm not quite yet ready to buy, but I think if he makes it through next week, I'll start buying because it'll still be pretty low, I think.
Okay.
So there it is. There's our Stockwatch. I don't believe we've missed anyone. So let's get to some questions here. We have one from Stephen Callahan. As unlikely as it is, what is the scenario where Cody stays this week? Assuming there is one at all, what would that scenario be? What do you think, Melissa?
Well, I was trying to think of this because I was trying to find any way that he could possibly stay. But I think, okay, number one scenario, Christmas can't come back. She has her surgery. She can't come back. Who knows what happens? But that's, unlikely. But other scenario is that I was thinking about this today, and obviously it was just like a stupid, wishful thinking. But when Paul told Kevin to vote for Ramsey's as just like a hinky vote or whatever, then I was thinking what if enough people ended up throwing votes to Ramsey's, or they got maybe just 3 people, 4 people, whatever, to throw the votes to Ramsey's, for whatever reason they want to do it. And then it ends up that Kevin's vote like throws it over the edge and he ends up going home.
Yeah, well, no, that's fan fiction, honey.
Yeah, well, you know what? It's anything can happen. Probably not, but that was my thinking.
Here's the thing. He needs 6 votes, 10 people voting this week. Obviously, Paul would evict him, so he needs 6. His best plan is he has Jessica's vote. He needs 5 other votes. He needs to go back to his alliance, apologize profusely, play the damn game, try to mend some of those bonds with the 2 showmances and Dominique. That's 6 votes. That's when he needs to stay in the game. I feel like those people more than anything, if they don't want to change their minds, nobody's going to. Those are the people that he had his original bonds with. But he's not willing. He's not willing to do that, though. So
couldn't he go to, especially the 3 guys, when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna be like the bros" or whatever they were doing? Like, couldn't he have like?
They're not gonna do anything without their women.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, he could go to them first and be like, "Look, guys, like, I've got you 3. We were a threesome. Like, let's just figure it out."
He needs to put the fear of God in them and say, "Look, you know, when I go, don't you think they're coming after you next? I mean, who's the next biggest guy in the house? Mark." Yeah. Matt, don't you think they're going to put you up on the block with Mark? All these people are talking about you. All the Alexes and the Ramseys and the Jasons of the world, they want your ass on the block. Just make shit up.
Yeah.
Like, do anything.
You're like, I heard so-and-so say this. It doesn't matter anymore.
He's too proud. I don't even think this is.
Yeah, he's like, he's on the way out the door, so he might as well just make stuff up because, okay, worst case scenario, like, they come back and say, and he ends up getting found out and they say like, okay, well, none of us ever said that. Okay, well, I tried. But if he at least says like, okay, I overheard them talking. They were saying they were coming for you guys next. Like whatever you have to say just to try.
Yes. And if you keep me in this house, I have a great opportunity to win HOH. I will stay solid with you guys and we will go after the other side. That's what he needs to say. The problem is, that his hands are tied in that he can't go after the person he really wants to go after, which is Paul, because Paul's immune. So it would be like Godfrey standing up in a meeting saying, "Zach, I'm coming for you." And Zach's like, "Bitch, I got this pendant around my neck. What you gonna do?" Yeah.
All right. Next question is from Zyder, who asks, a few of them keep saying that they're just here for the experience, the exposure. Winning isn't a priority. Like, what do we need to do to fix this? Could $1 million prize, if they up the prize money, could that change this whole culture that we've probably been seeing for a little while now? Is Big Brother due for a prize increase here?
It's definitely due for a prize increase. It's embarrassing. Like, it's only $500,000. Like, they were saying like every week they're going to give away $100,000 or whatever for Candy Crush. Like, and they can't up the prize even a little bit for Big Brother. It's embarrassing.
Sugar Crush.
I mean, come on. I mean, I don't exactly want for money, and I'm still looking at $500,000 go, I'd like to have that. So, I mean, like, $500,000. Like, I mean, what are you kidding me? Like, I mean, yes, should they increase the prize money more? Sure. But that's not going to make people play any better. It has to come down to casting. They've cast a lot of generally like non-Brent-esque people who are just they're just not going to cause any drama in the house right now.
The thing is that like though in their interviews, I was actually excited this season because everybody in the interviews was like, I'm here to win. I mean, except for like a couple of people like Alex who said she wasn't here to win. But like everybody else was like, I'm here to win. I want to get that $500,000. Like I want the title of Big Brother, whatever. Like, you know, that sort of thing. And it's like, was that all talk? Was that all people just, you know?
Well, I mean, I feel like a lot of people have fallen into showmances, and I know they like having pretty people on Big Brother, but there's something to be said for casting people who are not necessarily, you know, hot, mega hot, fit bodies, 25 years old, who are instantly going to fall in somebody's lap. I mean, when you put people like that in the house together, that's just what's going to happen. That's what hormones take over. So
and people who care about social media.
Yeah. I know,
and they just want to get followers. They're all just saying that too. They're like, I mean, like I keep thinking every year that maybe like this will be the year that nobody cares about how many followers they have. But every year they're just like, oh, well, like after this, you can, I heard Elena talking today, like saying that she wanted to like wear people's clothes and be like, yeah, I'll promote your clothes, like brands that I like, I'll promote them on Instagram. Like, that's what I want to do after this. It's like, that's what you want to do? Like, stop. Like it just kills me.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that there's a bit of a problem here, and I think that the prize money is part of it. I think that, you know, the difference between 500,000 and 50,000 and you know, like 20-something thousand, whatever they get for being in jury the whole time, is just, there's not enough of a difference. They feel like, you know, I could win $500,000, and that would be great for a little while. but it would be better if I could, like, you know, become a personality and have a more sustainable way of like making money without actually doing anything. Whereas if it is $1 million, or, you know, potentially even more, it's not going to be more than that, but if it was $1 million, it's like, okay, well, now it's like, that is life-changing money.
Yeah, that would change your,
Exactly. And not to say that $500,000 isn't, but I think that there's not enough of a difference between, you know, making 20 to 50K and then also getting this potential for like, I'll move to LA, I'll have a more fun job, whatever. Whereas like if it's $1 million, it's like, man, if I make that, then I'm golden. I can do whatever I want. So I would love to see a prize increase here. I think it would make people a little bit more competitive. But I also agree.
It's not like they couldn't do it. I mean, this is a cash cow for them, for God's sake. And it's only on once a season, like Survivor, that they give away $1 million twice a year.
Yeah.
It's certainly possible to do. I don't understand why they don't do it. Maybe they feel like they don't need it. Obviously, in Big Brother 6, they did offer the $1 million if you and your partner got to the end together. But they probably knew that wasn't really going to happen. So
yeah. And you know, I tweeted about this, like the prize for Candy Crush is $100,000 for what, like like 2 hours of your time versus you know, on one episode, versus 100 days and over 30 episodes, and you get what, 5 times that much. And on Big Brother Canada, you get the same amount.
I'm looking at The Wall. Do you guys watch The Wall on NBC? For God's sake, they give away like $300,000, $400,000, $500,000 once an episode. Like,
it's crazy.
Actually, now that I think about it, it's terrible. I'm with you guys. They need to increase it to $1 million.
Yeah, and I can say for myself, like one of the reasons why I don't think I would apply to Big Brother is because at the very least, Survivor is much more much better investment in terms of, like, I get $1 million for 39 days. Like I'd much rather do that.
Yeah. It definitely, and the time commitment too, it's huge. So you want to get something more out of it.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Caleb Trailer. I know it might be Taylor. That might have been a typo. Sorry, Caleb. Are Cody and Jess a poor man's Brentshel? Do they at least have that upside? I know Brent doesn't agree, but what do you think, Melissa?
I don't see them as Brentshel. Not really at all. I think they're very different from Brentshel. I mean, I think that I don't. Yeah, no, I don't really see the comparison, besides the fact that they're like in a showmance, and then I guess the guy's going to leave early and maybe the girl can make a run to the end. I don't know. But I don't really see them as that. I think they're their own separate thing. Maybe not Jess, but at least Cody has his own unique. I don't see him as Brendan at all. So.
Okay. Next question from Susan. She asks, if Alex wins the next HOH, wouldn't it be in her best interest to go after Matt or Mark? And this, I think, generally, if anybody who is not in Paul's group wins HOH, who should they be targeting here? Because it's kind of a tricky situation. What do you think, Brent?
Ooh, that's tough. I feel like they need to pick like 2 people from the ends of the alliance and play them against each other in the middle. Like somebody like Matt and Dominique. Somebody where the people around them would be fighting for them specifically, and thus it would cause a break in the alliance. You saw what happened with the previous alliance, where Jessica was trying to get people to evict Christmas, and they wouldn't do it. And you can say to people, well, okay, that's okay. I understand where you're coming from. You know, I understand your vote. You've given them your vote. I get that. But when you actually go in the voting booth and you vote against somebody else's own interest, that really causes a lot of drama in the house. I feel like that is the best way to go about breaking up this sort of mega alliance, is to go after 2, like, don't go after like Matt and Raven. That's a bad call. Mark and Elena, bad call. You want 2 disparate people who other people would have different agendas for keeping in the game.
Yeah, you want to cause a civil war and then pick the winning side and be like, I'm with you guys. I'm helping you keep your own guy, and they're trying to get rid of your guy.
Because once people's life on the game, like once, you know, Raven sees that Matt's life in the game is on the line, she's going to take offense to anybody that's not willing to keep him. And that those hurt feelings last, as you've seen with Jessica.
Yeah. So it's the classic move. It needs to be pulled off. I don't know if anyone has the smarts to do it, though. We'll have to see. JTDEV asks, should they send out Jess next week so that if there is a battle back, Cody would have to beat her and send her home, knowing that she'd be gone. Would he lay down and die for her?
These are the people. These are the same people who were rooting for Rachel to be evicted instead of Lawan, so that Brendan would have to face Rachel and that stupid.
Oh, how great would that have been?
No, it'd be terrible. They would just stand there and stare at each other. Come on. Ugh. You guys
I mean, I think there's something to this. I think if Cody ends up facing Jessica, if she doesn't emphatically say "Don't throw this to me," I think he would. I think he's the kind of guy that would be like, no. Listen, I had to do the right thing. I had to give it to her. I had to be a man. I wasn't about to make victim noises. So it's what I decided to do. So yeah.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen. So.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't either. Next question.
Maria asks, Paul has been targeting Ramsey's since week 1. Is it possible that he's seeing some of Nicole in Ramsey's? This the super fan of the cast. Is Ramsey's giving him Nicole vibes?
Maybe, but he was saying that Nicole, he would have like beat Nicole or whatever. Like he would have. Yeah, I don't know.
That was a slap to Paul's ego when Ramsey said that. I mean, he said, but Ramsey's has also been shady. Like the whole thing about the banner. I mean, he's just like, why? I still don't understand why he. Again, I wish there was a live DR where we could ask him. Like, I wish the audience could ask questions that were producer approved.
Yeah.
You know, like, why did you make up something about the banner? Did you really think you saw something? Because obviously you didn't. So, what was going on? Yeah.
Yes, from Zach Walters, who do you think will be the ultimate winner in the battle for Mark's soul? What do you think, Melissa?
I ultimately think that Dominique will have control of Mark, I think. Because I think she'll play up the whole, I'm just an outside observer and I'm seeing what's going on and I don't want you to be hurt. Like I see her playing that kind of like motherly figure to him where she's like I'm just doing this for your benefit and I see this, I see what she's doing to you, I see what's going on and I don't like it and I'm just trying to protect you, and I absolutely see him falling for that. So I think Dominique will ultimately, I mean he already said that he wanted to get rid of Elena at jury, or that not that he wanted to maybe, but that he would be willing to get rid of her and that he would cut her at jury. So I think Dominique will have him.
I agree. I think that usually, and I've said this before, I think that usually when it comes to like, is somebody going to pick the friend versus the relationship, they're almost always going to pick the relationship. The person that's kissing them every night, that's the person they're going to go with. But I think the problem is that Elena is not giving Mark what he needs in their relationship. She's not willing to go that far with him, and I think that's why ultimately he may choose Dominique. And I think it's a dangerous game to play, Dominique's game, but I think it's going to pay off because Elena just isn't invested enough, and it's not giving Mark the emotional support I think that he feels like he needs because he's such a beta, according to Brent. I
actually don't think we do a buy sell on Mark. I mean, not on Mark, on Josh.
Oh, did we miss Josh?
The chat was like, did they do a buy sell on Josh?
We talked about him some, but I mean, like I would buy Josh at this point more than anything. I feel like he's in a much better situation than he was last week, even though last week he was safe, but nobody really seems to be targeting him. Yeah. I do worry that he might cause himself to become a target, but I think nobody's just really threatened by him from a game standpoint, and he's not causing the house too much drama at this point.
I think if he lays low, he could go pretty far. I mean, he was talking to the camera at one point saying like he needs to pull it together. Like he's been way too like emotional and way too erratic, and he's been
But he says that and then he goes and does it again.
Yeah, right. So that's the problem. If Josh would lay low, he would be great, but I don't see that happening. I see him causing a lot of problems. I do not see him winning the games, but like if he could, like it would be very fun to watch him just like turn it around.
Yeah, I think the fact that we forgot about Josh is a good sign for Josh, for sure.
Yeah, right.
That said,
that's really good.
It is still very difficult to picture him winning the game. He doesn't really have the respect of anyone in the house right now. He'll have to change up how he interacts with people if that's going to happen. So I'm not really willing to buy any Josh stock quite yet. So there we go. Another LFC roundtable in the books.
All right. Still haven't had a complete one yet, but with all four of us.
It happens. Alex
Alex did tweet us privately earlier and said that he was not feeling well earlier today and his phone died, and I think he just went to bed and didn't feel very well. So I'm sure he'll be back. He said he'll be back tomorrow for the update with Taran.
Yeah.
There you go. All right.
I have a hashtag, by the way.
Oh, all right.
I never do. Well, first of all, the first thing you said was when we were talking about Melissa sitting on the edge of her chair. You said, "Prepare your butts," and I thought that was hilarious. But I have a better one because this whole podcast has been like this. It's hashtag Melissa Unleashed because the chat room came up with that. I like it.
Oh,
I like it.
I like it.
Okay. Hashtag Melissa. I like that. I like that. I think Melissa Unleashed is the best form of Melissa. So it's like Melissa's final form.
Yes. I can't remember who in the chat room said. 2 different people said that. So I really like that.
Okay. So yeah, there we go. There will be another update tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. Make sure you send in some feedback if you like that time or if you'd like a different time. If you'd like a later time, I would not complain. And Alex definitely would not complain. So make sure you send in that feedback. It's seriously, it's a lot of fun. I don't mind the time regardless, but we do want to hear what you guys think. The updates have been so much fun, so make sure you tune in for those. I will be filling in for Rob Wednesday night. We will be talking. Yes.
Wait, let me check my schedule. I'm not on the Wednesday show, am I?
You are on the Wednesday. I believe we'll be talking with Alex Willett on the Wednesday show, so that'll be a lot of fun.
Yes.
We'll be talking all about the Wednesday episode. There will be no Candy Crush to talk about, unfortunately, but we'll make do. So that'll be a lot of fun. There's also a lot of great stuff happening with American Ninja Warrior. We just released the interview we did with James the Beast McGrath. There's an episode airing tonight where him and Alyssa Beard, who also appeared on that interview, are competing. We talked about Team Ninja Warrior. It was a lot of fun. So hopefully that we'll be talking more about that in the future. Also, make sure you check out But First, a Big Brother 2 blockumentary. Still getting tweets about it because it's so much fun. Go back, watch Big Brother 2. Watch Dr. Will's game from start to finish. See the legend itself. And then listen to us make silly impressions and make fun of how people sit in chairs. So yeah, check that out. And then also, finally, I have a new project in the works.
Oh my God!
Yes,
like you're literally taking over the entire Rob as a planet at this point.
I am a robot. I have to take over. I'll hopefully be releasing it sometime next week. I'm very excited about it. So get hyped. Yeah.
Well, what is it? You said you have a new project. You can't tell us what it is.
It's a new podcast. I'll be doing some interviews. I'll give you some more information later on. I'll tell you what the name of it is. It's a terrible name.
I feel like I know what it's about, but I talked with Rob about this. But I don't want to spoil it for anybody. If you can't say it, then I'm not going to say it.
Well, the feed isn't up yet, so I don't want to direct people anywhere. We're just teasing it right now, but keep an eye out for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll make sure to tell you guys once the feed is up. The first interview is a doozy. It's a great one. So make sure you pay attention. So thank you all for joining us. This has been a lot of fun. Melissa is at Melissa. It's Melissa with 3 A's. Sorry.
Yes.
On Twitter. Brent is at OneLuckyGay. I'm at Armstrong Taran. And make sure you tweet at Alex Kidwell saying you missed out, not making it to the podcast. So yes, thank you so much for joining us. Hashtag Militia.
Militia.
It's the militia. Hashtag Melissa Unleashed. We will see you next time.